Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Issei becomes Devil's God Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for Part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. See, the Endless War. The Eternal War. The war that filled the sea with blood. A conflict that went by many names. If there are 100 different words that mean snow, there are 1,000 that would represent this bloodbath. The never-ending battle between the angels, led by the biblical god, the devils, led by Satan and his 6 generals, and the fallen angels, led by Iblis and Azazel, had been ongoing since the dawn of the 3 factions. No one knows the real reason for the conflict. Some say it was the fallen angels trying to tempt the angels into sin that forced heaven to intervene, while the devils took advantage of the chaos. Some say it was the angels trying to purge the world of sin with their righteousness. Some think that the leaders and their closest followers were simply bored and decided that, since they couldn't die of natural causes, they might as well fight to see who dies first. That the entire war was just a deal made by the 3 leaders to see who would control the world. Perhaps one of those was the reason and perhaps none of those were the reason, though in truth it really doesn't matter why they were fighting. What truly matters is what came of it. Throughout the fighting, hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of warriors in each faction were felled. Countless tales of brave warriors clashing, countless legends of both named and nameless soldiers would go down to serve as inspiration to continue the fighting. War is cyclical in nature. One's friend or comrade will die and that one will seek vengeance. He will succeed and kill another's friend or comrade, thus repeating the need for vengeance. It is an endless line of drawing the blood of another because they drew blood from you. As wars go, it was notably dangerous for those not part of the conflict in addition to those who fought on the front lines. Ordinary humans were often killed because they were thought to be enemies in disguise or perhaps sympathizers with the cause of their enemies. Other pantheons or factions were walking on eggshells trying to avoid the fighting so as to not be entirely wiped out. So, as the conflict raged on, the leader of the Heaven faction made a decision to aid the humans. He would create weapons for them. Weapons capable of defending themselves and defeating the warriors of the 3 factions. Weapons that would grant humans power. Some would get a small amount while others would be blessed with the strength rivaling God's. Thus was the birth of Sacred Gears, the system established in the same level of heaven as his system of prayer, worship, and miracles, 7th heaven. Within the system, there were several basic tiers of Sacred Gears. There was the utility class, which would mostly aid people's day-to-day life or improve information gathering. Siren's Chord, for example, would make one's voice always sound beautiful, allowing for users to become more easily likable and gain the trust of others. Following this, there was the support class. Some of these were incredibly strong, such as Eagle's Aegis, which was a near-infallible defense, while others were weaker, such as Legion Shield, which would increase the defensive capabilities of a large group. Then, there was the largest tier, which was the offensive class. This class was made up of weapons made to fight and defeat enemies, possessing gears such as Diana's Bow and Beast Mimicry, being a powerful bow and a transformation technique respectively. Creating a vastly diverse array of tools, God sent these out to random hosts in order to aid the humans' survival. However, God realized quickly that these would not be enough. Slowly, they began to discover their gifts, and they were often recruited as mercenaries for the 3 factions, though they rarely were able to be more than cannon fodder to even mid-level soldiers. So, as a final attempt to aid the humans, God began to create a final tier of Sacred Gear. These were in a class of their own, known as Longinus. The Longinus was a work in progress that wouldn't finish until the end of the war, but these were meant to be far superior to all other Sacred Gears, having near limitless potential if utilized correctly. Each had to be carefully crafted, so as to not overwhelm the host, be undeniably stronger than those in other tiers, and have some sort of weakness so as to not become mad with power. Powers such as Incinerate Anthem, the Chief Mourner's Crucified Stand of Purple Flame, and Sephiroth Grail, the Holy Grail itself, began to appear, and while bloodshed increased on all sides, the humans were able to have an impact once more. God was satisfied that his prized creation would not be destroyed by his people's conflict. It was the dawn of the 3rd day of the greatest battle in millennia. The war had been raged for as long as anyone could remember, but this was by far the bloodiest. In terms of casualties, each side had already lost in the thousands and it was far from finished. The armies were preparing to make their individual pushes. God, the remaining 3 devil generals, Satan, and Iblis were all participating in this conflict. Unfortunately for them all, no amount of power in the universe is mightier than fate. Before the warriors could begin their clash, a second conflict began. 2 of the mightiest dragons to have ever lived crashed near equidistant from each side. Each dragon was massive, towering over the armies in both size and power. Their roars shook the ground and sent many warriors to their knees in awe. The red dragon spewed the hottest flames in existence while the white dragon fought back with an equally powerful poison. They clawed, bit, punched, and wrestled each other, caring not about those who got in their way. In the beginning, each army did their utmost to simply avoid the warring dragons, hoping that a byproduct of their fight would weaken the enemy forces, but it was soon realized that that was not to be the case. Each side began to run out of room to retreat, and would suffer extreme losses if nothing was done soon. Forced to make a decision, God from the Bible sent his fastest messengers to both the fallen angels and the devils in order to establish a temporary ceasefire. While unhappy about the decision, Iblis, Satan, and his generals realized that this was a necessity and agreed to the ceasefire. The three now temporary allies had found a common enemy and began their assaults on the two dragons. This, however, would quickly prove to be far more difficult than any could imagine. Both of these dragons were in the top 10 strongest beings in existence, widely believed to be in either third or fourth place among the list. The first dragon was a brilliant red western dragon known as Draig Gach, the Red Dragon Emperor, the Welsh Dragon, and the Dragon of Domination. The second dragon was a shining, almost heavenly, white western dragon known as Albion Gwyber, the White Dragon Emperor, the Vanishing Dragon, and the Dragon of Supremacy. These two dragons were collectively known as the two heavenly dragons for their sheer might and the belief that they took their supremacy and domination from God himself. While untrue, both dragons had more than earned the title and were a perfect match for each other in combat. As the three factions attempted to slay the beasts, the dragons did their best to annoy the little insects that kept buzzing around. Unfortunately for them, those insects were capable of making very large and very sharp weapons. While most were unable to deal actual damage to the dragons, it got to the point where they decided enough was enough and turned from each other to the various insect armies, whom Draig had dubbed the ugly crows, the stupid bats, and the dumbass pelicans. Thus the conflict went from bad to worse, as hordes of warriors were wiped out on all sides. The leaders ordered the retreat of their respective armies and went to engage themselves, leading to a face-off between the heavenly dragons and the coalition of God, Iblis, Satan, Lucifer, Beelzebub, and Leviathan. The two sides battled valiantly. Destruction of the likes had never been seen before. The war-torn land that had existed previously was more comparable to a peaceful, grassy meadow than what remained after their conflict. As the curtains began to close, the two dragons stood, each bathed in their own blood, against the remaining two, God and Lucifer. Iblis and Beelzebub had been struck down by Albion, while Satan and Leviathan were felled by Draig. Father and son stood against the two heavenly dragons, once again driven together by conflict. As a last-ditch effort to save their people, God and Lucifer decided to combine their powers, knowingly sacrificing their lives, in order to defeat the dragons by sealing them away within God's system of sacred gears. Lucifer agreed to his father's plan in order to protect his people and perhaps, as a parting gift to his father. And so they were sealed, Albion within the Longinus divine dividing, and Draig inside the boosted gear, sentenced to an eternity of being used as a weapon for their crimes. Of course, this story is widely known throughout the three factions, at least to a certain degree. What is commonly taught is that God lived through the battle, though the rest of the leaders perished, and in witnessing such might, the three factions agreed to an armistice. The higher-ups were made aware of the true story, which is of God's death, but what was unknown to perhaps every single being, whether from heaven, earth, or hell, was that God didn't just seal the two dragons. He also sealed himself into a Longinus-class sacred gear. He decided that, as punishment for the war between himself and his children's factions, he should be subjected to a fate similar to the dragons. An eternity sealed away within a sacred gear. His, however, was never awakened. No one's will was strong enough, no one's potential great enough, and no one's future bright enough to awaken him. No one, that is, until now. An ordinary child was born to two ordinary parents. Perhaps the only thing special about them was that they had an incredibly difficult time having said child. A multitude of failures finally led to this. This young boy who they named Issei Hayato. His father Goru and his mother Miki were beyond thrilled with their child. They were, at last, successful and had what they always dreamed for. Issei was truly loved by his parents, and he was brought up from a young age well. He was kind, friendly, caring, and happy for most of his days. He had some friends, most could be more accurately described as acquaintances, but he was particularly close to one. A young girl who lived nearby named Irina Shido was Issei's closest and most treasured friend. From the day they met, they were near inseparable. For 3 years, they did everything together. Unfortunately, that time was soon coming to an end. One day, a few months after Issei's 8th birthday, the two were relaxing at a park in their hometown of Ko under the shade of a tree. Issei was splayed out on the ground while Irina rested her head on his arm. She was noticeably upset all day and Issei was getting rather worried about her, until she finally spoke up on her own. "Hey Issei?" she asked. "What's up, Iri?" I'm moving. The two sat in silence for a moment before it caught up to the young boy as he shot up in surprise. "Moving?" "Yeah," Irina nodded sadly, sitting up with him. "Tomorrow we're moving to England." "But that means," Issei whispered as he looked at his most treasured friend, "I won't get to see you anymore." Her eyes were already wet with unshed tears as she collapsed onto her closest friend and sobbed in his embrace. "I don't want to leave," she wept. "I want to stay here. With you." "I don't want you to leave either," Issei muttered sadly, tightly hugging the girl. "Are you sure you have to go?" Irina nodded in his shirt. "What if I never get to see you again?" "Well then, we'll just have to make a promise," he reasoned after a brief moment of silence. "A promise?" "Yeah, a promise. To never forget each other. And that, someday, we'll see each other again." "Really?" she asked. "Yeah." And when we see each other, we'll go right back to being best friends. No matter what, Issei declared confidently, standing up, causing Irina to let out a squeak of surprise. How about it, Iri? Can we really do that? But how do you know I'll see you again? Because I always keep my promises, and I'll promise you, no matter how long it takes, I'll never forget about you and that I'll see you again. And you promise me the same thing, okay? Irina smiled and stood up, grabbing his outstretched hand. Well then, it's a promise. Issei grinned. A promise. They spent the rest of that afternoon and evening making the most out of their limited time they had left. But soon, the next day came, and Issei and his parents were in the driveway of Irina's house as her parents finished loading their car. So I guess this is goodbye, Irina said sadly, unable to look Issei in the eye. I got something for you. As a present before you go, Issei pulled out a pendant from his pocket. It was a fairly simple, inexpensive pendant, holding an ornament in the center. Open that part up. Irina did, and it showed a picture of the two of them smiling, Irina's chin on Issei's shoulder, as they gave goofy grins at the camera. Issei, I thought you might like it, something to make sure you don't forget our promise. He scratched the back of his head. Irina just gave him a giant hug while he grinned and hugged her back. I'll miss you, Issei. I'll miss you too, Iri. With their parting words given, Irina's parents called that it was time to leave. Pulling back to leave, Irina smiled at him and quickly kissed him on the cheek before running back to her parents' car as Issei just stood there stupefied. Bye, Issei, she called, waving from the window as the car pulled away, while Issei stood unmoving, instinctively waving back with one hand while touching his cheek with the other. So, how was your first kiss? Goro teased his son, which seemed to snap him out of shock as his face blew up into an atomic level of red. Dad! Issei shouted, though he couldn't help the grin that stuck on his face for almost the entire rest of the day. That night, everything would change for the young boy. Perhaps it was his dedication to Irina, perhaps it was his will to fulfill his promise, or perhaps it was just fate going through the motions. But a new age would begin to dawn as the most powerful Longinus to ever exist was born. After falling asleep that night, Issei began to dream. He dreamt that he was in a beautiful landscape in the clouds, a dazzling light sparkling over the land. There were none of the minor irritants that Issei usually experienced when outdoors, such as insects, or an uncomfortable temperature. It was perfectly peaceful. As he was looking around his dreamscape, something compelled him to look up behind him, so the boy turned and gazed up to meet the most dazzling sight he would perhaps ever see. What appeared to be an angel with 7 pairs of glittering golden wings began to descend before him as he looked on in awe. The angel landed in front of him and pressed his palms together, smiling at the boy. He had blonde hair and green eyes, wearing royal robes like the armor of a king. Gold, white, and red trappings of power and royalty decorated his body, which screamed regality. Hello, my child, the angel spoke. It has been a very long time since I've been asleep. Whoa, Issei exhaled. A real angel, this is the coolest dream I've ever had. The angel smiled back at the boy. I'm sure it would be, but this actually isn't a dream, my child. Huh? Issei asked, tilting his head confused. But I just went to sleep and I'm looking at an angel. It's definitely a dream. I assure you it's not, child, he insisted, still smiling. Why is my dream trying to convince me it isn't a dream? The boy wondered aloud, pondering what that meant. Of course, Issei, being 8, didn't understand the subconscious meanings of dreams, so, even if he was dreaming, this question would go unanswered. Perhaps I should explain, the angel chuckled. First, child, what is your name? Oh, my name's Issei. Issei Hayada. Nice to meet you. The pleasure is mine, Issei. Now, Issei, tell me. Are you religious? Religious? I mean, not really. I went to church with Iri a few times, but it was kinda boring. I didn't really understand that much. The angel chuckled at the child. Indeed. There is quite a lot to understand, but at least you know what I'm talking about. Well, child, I should properly introduce myself. You've probably heard of me before. I'm God, as written about in the Bible. Huh! Issei exclaimed. You're God? I am, God answered, smiling at him. But why aren't you super old looking? I'm sorry, God's been alive, like, forever. And you look only a little older than Dad. Well, I can't really age, Issei. God scratched his head awkwardly. So this is what I've looked like for as long as I can remember. I guess that makes sense, Issei nodded, sitting down. So if you're God, why am I dreaming about you? Wait, apparently I'm not dreaming, so why am I not dreaming about God? Well, Issei, to answer that question I need to tell you a story. Would you like to hear it? I guess so, Issei shrugged. That would be more entertaining than just sitting here, I guess. God chuckled before beginning. A very, very long time ago, a great war began. God proceeded to tell Issei the story of the war between the 3 great factions, the decision to create sacred gears, the decision to create Longinus, and finally, the legendary battle that led to the sealing of the 2 heavenly dragons. That's so cool! Issei shouted. But I don't see what that has to do with you being here. Well, Issei, after I sealed Albion and Drake, my son, Lucifer, had already passed away, and I was on my dying breaths. With my last bit of power, I, too, decided to give myself the same fate that I gave them and sealed myself in a Longinus. That Longinus has never awakened before. Well, not until now. So, I'm the first user? Indeed you are, child. What have you been doing all this time? Pardon? Well, you sealed yourself away and you haven't come out in how long did you say? A few thousand years? Didn't you get bored? And how come you haven't come out? Well, it's hard to explain, God scratched his head. It is very boring, I suppose, but I was waiting for a special feeling, and I haven't gotten that until I was with you. Many people have contained my sacred gear before, say. The system I developed will continuously give me to new hosts until the end of time, or the end of the system, but no one has awakened me yet. So, why did you get a special feeling with me? Issei asked. I'm rather unsure, Issei. You see, I've just been awakened, so I haven't had access to your memories yet. May I take a look? I guess so. I mean, you are God and all, I guess. Thank you, child. God reached over and gently touched Issei's forehead. The two stood there for about a minute, while he processed all of Issei's life so far. I'm so sorry that Irina had to leave, Issei. I can tell you felt very strongly towards her. Yeah, it's gonna be weird not having her around, Issei said sadly. But we made a promise to see each other again someday, and to never forget each other. And that when we do see each other again, we go right back to being best friends. Perhaps that's why I was awakened, God theorized. Maybe it was your unbending devotion to your friend and unwavering compassion that gave me that special feeling. Thanks, can I call you something other than God? I feel weird calling you that, Issei admitted sheepishly. God looked at Issei in surprise for a moment before laughing. It's been a long time since anyone has called me anything other than God, Issei. I suppose a change would be nice, wouldn't it? Alright, I suppose I'll tell you my real name. My name is actually Yahweh. Yahweh? Yes, that's a really weird name, Issei deadpanned. Well, remember that I first existed eons before you, Issei. Your name is just as strange to me as mine is to you. The only reason we're able to understand each other is because angels have an ability known as universal tongue, where they can speak and understand every language as if it were their own. I guess that's a good point. Wait, if you're God, that means you created just about everything, right? Well, I suppose I created almost everything. There were a few things before me like Great Red and Ophis, I suppose. So, who created you? That, my dear child, is a paradoxical question that I can't answer. I believe that we should move on to something else. If I tell you how I came to be, the universe itself would implode. Really? Really? I guess if the universe imploded I wouldn't be able to keep my promise to Iri. Okay, I guess you don't have to tell me, Issei decided. Right, God deadpanned. So, what does all of this mean? Am I your successor or something? Issei asked. Well, my child, I believe that is up to you to decide. As a sacred gear, it is my duty to aid you in any way I can. While I would truly implore you to join with heaven and try to make peace, should you decide to try and destroy the world, I can't actually stop you. Isn't that incredibly dangerous? Yes, I suppose it is. Well, Issei, it looks like our time is up. You're about to awaken. I'd like for you to take some time to think about it. You may ask me anything you wish, I'll always be here to aid you. Decide what you want to do with your life. Do you wish to join a faction? Do you wish for power, wealth, or women? Do you wish to aid others? Think about what would make you happy, what would make your loved ones proud, and what would happen to the world should you make any decision. Remember, you have the power of the strongest Longinus of the 15 in existence at your disposal. Once you are able to utilize it, the world will change. I think I understand. Thanks, Uncle Yahweh. Issei shouted, grinning and waving to the angel as he rejoined the realm of reality. Uncle Yahweh, huh? God chuckled to himself. This child is definitely something special. Issei woke up to the morning sun flooding through his window. He cracked his eyes open and stretched, trying to get the stiff feeling of sleep away from him. That was a crazy dream I had, Issei said to himself. I recall telling you that wasn't a dream, Issei, answered an amused God. What happened to Uncle Yahweh? That wasn't a dream? Issei mentally shouted. Of course it wasn't. Now you should probably get out of bed and go eat breakfast. Remember, think about what you want to do. Right. The young boy headed downstairs where his mother was already cooking. Good morning, Issei dear. How are you this morning? Mickey asked her son. Morning, Mom. I'm okay. I still miss Irina though. Of course you do, honey. Maybe some breakfast will make you feel a bit better. Did somebody say breakfast? Gora asked, coming down the stairs. Good morning, dear. Their standard morning chatter and pleasantries continued until they sat down to eat the meal Mickey had prepared for her family when Issei decided to ask something different. Hey, Mom? If you could change the world in any way you wanted to, what would you do? Issei asked. I don't really know. Where'd this come from? She asked curiously. He was always smart, but asking a theoretical question that tested one's goals, ethics, morality, and sense of realism was not something she particularly expected early on a Sunday morning from her 8-year-old son. I was just wondering, I guess. What about you, Dad? I don't really know either. I'd make sure everything was safe for you and your mom, I guess, Gora answered his son. That's it, I think so. Maybe if I had more time to think about it I'd have a better answer, but really, what else do I need? I have you and I have your mom. As long as you two are happy and healthy, I don't really need much else. I see where you get it from, child. Truly wise and selfless words. God commented. Should I tell them you're here? Issei mentally asked. That's entirely up to you. Remember, I can't make you do anything. Okay, well, what would you do if you were me? Well, seeing as you have quite a close relationship, I think I would tell them. Should you tell them, there is always the chance that the family dynamics should change or that their knowledge of the potential danger any decision you make causes will increase by restrictions they'll place on my training of you. You're going to train me? Of course I am. What, did you think you were just magically going to become strong enough to change the world? If I'm going to make a resurgence, you will have to be very powerful. Anyway, back to what I was saying, considering most things to do with the supernatural are rather dangerous, there is a chance they won't let you spread your wings and do as you like. However, if you don't tell them, you'll spend a long time lying to them, and eventually, they'll notice that you stop aging while they grow old, and your actions within the supernatural could put them in harm's way. I guess I should tell them then, Issei thought. How should I do that? Well, here's what I would say. Hey Mom? Dad? Do you two believe in the supernatural? Issei asked aloud. Of course not, silly. What's with all the questions this morning? Mickey asked. I do. Goro announced proudly. You can't be serious, dear. Mickey sighed. Of course I am. They have to be real. Where else would we get all these ideas and beliefs from? I'm sure someone made them up. Just like everything else, reasoned Mickey. Anyway, Issei, why do you want to know? Well, all of it's real, Issei said. Not you too. That's my son. Goro announced proudly. No, listen. He interrupted. Last night, I had a dream. Well, it wasn't a dream, but it kind of was. It's hard to explain anyway. While I was asleep, I met God, and he told me all about the supernatural and about these things called sacred gears. Just because you dream something doesn't make it real, Mickey pointed out. While that is very true, in this case, it does, reasoned God. Who was that? Mickey shouted. Who's in my house? Goro asked, standing up quickly. Where are you? Calm down. Issei yelled, causing both to pause. I told you, I met God while I was asleep, and he told me about sacred gears. Apparently, God put himself into one but hasn't ever been awakened before. Well, before last night. He woke up, so now I have his sacred gear. What did you say it was called again? I don't think I told you, actually, Yahweh hummed. It's known as the Heavenly Crown. I think this can be your first lesson. Imagine something very powerful, the strongest thing you can imagine. Then, think about something you desire and how you could achieve it if you had that kind of power. Finally, imagine all of that power was in a crown or a halo above your head. Don't worry too much about the details, it's only this hard the first time. Got it! Issei exclaimed, while both his parents just looked at him in shock. Strongest thing I can imagine. Would I really desire a halo above my head? Looks like you did it. Good work, Issei. Really? Issei looked above him and saw a glistening golden crown, illuminating the entire room in a heavenly light. Awesome, so you're my son, God, Mickey babbled, before fainting in her chair. I was right, Goro said proudly. I always knew it. Why don't we wait until your mother wakes up and we can talk about this more? Of course, Mr. Hayato. I would be glad to tell you everything you need to know, God said. And thus, the legend of Issei Hayato, wielder of the sacred gear, the heavenly crown, was born. It had been 5 years since Issei had discovered his sacred gear, heavenly crown. In terms of power, Yahweh told him he was probably up to par with an average high-class warrior, though in terms of experience, he still lacked any, to be completely honest. It had taken some time to come to an understanding between God, Issei, and his parents on what he would do with his newfound abilities, and they all agreed that the safest thing to do would be to train in secret until Issei was powerful enough to enter the world of the supernatural on his own, as well as protect his family. His parents even offered to start attending church regularly if it would help or be more respectful to the God they went to church to worship, but Yahweh insisted that all the education they would get there he could provide at their own house, so there was no need to worry about it. Besides, going to a church with a holy sacred gear could put Issei into harm's way earlier than planned. The last precaution that they had put into place was Issei being homeschooled. They debated about it for a short while, as on the one hand, it could prove dangerous for himself and others should he go, but on the other, it would also be detrimental for his social skills should he stay isolated at home. It was actually Issei who convinced them that he wanted to stay home, as God could teach him what was important, and since Irina had left, he didn't really have any other friends that he felt the need to go see in the first place. After relenting to his argument, Issei's time was split between being taught by his parents and God, training with his sacred gear, and spending some free time just being a kid. Yahweh was very insistent that he spends as much time as possible being young, because, as he put it, the older you get the more you wish you were young again. Today's training was a bit of an experiment on Yahweh's part. In all fairness, everything about their training was an experiment to some degree, considering he'd never been awakened before, but this was something a bit different. Of course, even though it wasn't necessarily his intention, God knew about balance breakers, but there was something else he theorized with his system. So, Issei headed to his training grounds, which was, essentially, the middle of the forest that he maintained a barrier around, preventing anyone from entering and keeping all noise and magical presence from escaping. Alright then, Issei. Are you ready? God asked. Of course. Let's do this, the now 13-year-old Issei mentally cheered. Wait, what is it that we're doing exactly? Well, remember that the sacred gear, in essence, is an addition to your soul. It is magic that activates it, yes, but the sacred gear is ingrained into your very being. That's why I always have you suppress it. Others, while they can't tell what it is that you possess, will be able to tell that something about you is different. Many will guess it's a sacred gear of some sort that has yet to awaken. Remember, people who have yet to awaken their sacred gears are prime candidates for one of two things: elimination before they become threats, or recruitment so that they become threats to their enemies, explained Yahweh. So, what I want to try is utilizing the angelic nature of your Longinus, which is me, to essentially reincarnate you, so to speak, as an angel, or, at the very least, make you part angel. That sounds awesome, Issei exclaimed back. You really think I can do that? Well, from what I'm aware, sacred gears with souls are able to interact with their host extensively, as we have been for the past 5 years or so. Because of that, I should be able to modify your soul and body as I fit, should you allow me to, of course. I theorize that the hosts of both Drang and Albion could do the same to turn them into partial dragons should they wish. So, how exactly do we do this? Issei asked. Well, let's just take a look-see around your soul here, muttered Yahweh, as crashing and clanking noise proceeded to rattle around in Issei's head. Everything alright in there? Yes, everything's fine. Hey! Get back here! Stop trying to corrupt his soul, and stay out. Lust has no place here. God yelled as the yowl of a cat followed the sound of a firm kick. Ahem, anyway, where was I? Right, we were turning me into an angel, I think? Yes, of course. Now, there are two options here. We could select individual body parts, such as your arms and or legs, and turn those into angel body parts, which would increase their affinity to holy magic as well as its resistance to it. Though that would increase that part's susceptibility to demonic magic, and you would have to learn some sort of transformation magic to suppress its natural holy aura and appearance. The second option would be to select key body parts in order to make you into a full angel. I believe that's what this button is for. Button? There's a button in my soul? Yes, it's right over here. It says press here for full angelification, Yahweh read. How exactly did you become God again? Oh, just be quiet. Are you ready? Is this going to hurt? After that last comment, I hope so. Alright, here we go. Wait. Hold on but Issei was cut off by a sudden and excruciating pain. Hold on a bit more, child. It shouldn't be too much longer. It hurts. Issei screamed as he collapsed to his knees. My chest. It feels like it's tearing itself apart. I think that's just your heart transforming into an angelic one. You see. Would you shut up and let me scream? Arfrg. He groaned, writhing around on the ground. And done. God concluded. There you go, Issei. How do you feel now? For some reason I wish you weren't in my soul so I could punch you in the face, Issei grumbled, getting up on shaky limbs. My whole body is sore beyond belief. Well, aside from that, how do you feel? Before I answer that, isn't enjoying giving me pain a sin or something? You're literally God, is that allowed? Well, I suppose it is, but I've been following my own rules to the letter for millennia. I'm in a sacred gear now. I can bend some of them a little if I want to. Somehow, I've gotten more confidence from you saying that. I try my best. Because if someone like you can become God, I definitely can. This button says cause pain again. I think that's the next one I should press. No, there's no need for that. You're our Holy Father after all. You love and protect all of your wonderful children. Ha, you really believe there was a button like that? You're the worst, Issei sighed. Anyway, did it work? Am I an angel or something now? I believe so. Why don't you try spreading your wings? Also, why are you still talking out loud? I don't know. It gave me something to focus on other than the agony you just put me through. Is this better? Issei asked mentally. Much. Now spread your wings, child. And how exactly do I do that? Oh, right, well, let's see now, give me a second here. I'll remember eventually. How do you not remember? You're God, you created angels, Issei groaned. Could you teach someone else how to breathe or walk? No. Exactly. It's just something I can do. I don't really know how to explain it. So, should I just wait for you to figure it out? Issei was cut off from his thoughts by a small cracking noise. This isn't good. What isn't good? Did you blow something up trying to let your wings out? God asked. No. Someone broke the barrier. Are you sure you set it up right? Of course, I'm sure. Then you should hide. That barrier was strong enough to keep out anyone twice your strength and below. Whoever this is, you don't stand a chance. Thanks for the vote of confidence. I'll find somewhere to hide. Issei quickly found some thick foliage to hide in and practically held his breath waiting for whoever it was to arrive. Several minutes later, a figure came out from the trees. He was wearing similar garments to Yahweh, that being massive gold-colored shoulder armor plates and a holy robe with a large white cross in the center. The more Issei looked at the man, the more he was reminded of Yahweh. They had the same eyes and the same hair color and a similar overall facial structure, but the man looked about 10 years younger. I'm sure it's around here somewhere, the man mumbled to himself, looking around. He looks like exactly like you if you weren't so old and crotchety, Issei pointed out. You're lucky my principles are on forgiveness, Child God grumbled in response. But he looks exactly like me because that's Michael. He's my son. Really? What's he? Wait a second. I thought Jesus was your son. More than that, aren't we all your children? Okay, it's kinda hard to explain. The whole everyone is my child thing is more of a figure of speech. Anyway, that's not important right now. Right anyway, what's your son doing here? Maybe he's looking for you. You did kinda just become an angel. Think I should say something? No, I think you should stay in this bush for the next hour, and hope he doesn't expect you to hide. The Bible really should have mentioned that you were this sarcastic, you know. Listen, I'm allowed to adjust my manner of speaking according to the time period I'm in, as well as who I'm talking to. I assure you, when I was ruling over heaven I was much less sarcastic. Now enough about me. Go say something to Michael. Alright, fine. Grouchy old man Issei grumbled before emerging and clearing his throat. Yo? Michael, right? Michael turned to look at the boy and just stared at him in confusion. I'm sorry, child, I don't believe I know who you are. How do you know who I am? Uncle Yahweh told me. Way to go, Kid God sighed. Michael just stood there in shock for a second. While it wasn't exactly hidden knowledge that God's real name was Yahweh, it wasn't really broadcast either. Aside from that, apparently, God, who according to his knowledge was dead, informed the boy of who he was. Hello, Michael. Father? Michael asked softly, approaching the boy still in shock. Not really, Issei chuckled uncomfortably. I'm not the boy, Michael, really. I spent a few millennia sealed away and you think I'd come back as this child? I feel like that was supposed to be an insult, Issei deadpanned. Listen, Michael. I'm not dead and I'm not the boy. Any other guesses? Are you inside his soul? Michael asked, still not fully processing what was happening. Close enough. Long story short, I never actually died in that battle against Drake and Albion. I sealed myself away too. So you're still alive? That's the long and short of it, yes. Father. Michael exclaimed, hugging Issei fiercely. I can't believe it. I'm not your father, he's the sacred gear. Issei choked out, trying not to be completely squished by Michael's aggressive affection. You should put him down before you squish him, my son, Yahweh pointed out. Oh, of course. I apologize, ahem. I seem to have lost my composure. Michael cleared his throat and fixed his apparel after setting Issei back down. Once he'd regained his regal appearance, Michael tried again. All right. So, child, who might you be? My name's Issei Hayadu, first wielder of the strongest Longinus, heavenly crown. Issei announced proudly. Careful, boy. Pride is a sin, you know. Although, I am definitely the strongest. I thought you said pride was a sin. For you it is, but I'm a sacred gear. My rules no longer apply to me, God explained as if it was obvious. Anyway, Michael, what are you doing here? Hey, that means it worked. Issei cheered. Perfect. Good job, Issei. What is it that worked? Michael asked. God pressed the button in my head that made me an angel, Issei informed him. I'm not sure I follow, Issei. Father, what does he mean? Sacred gears become a part of the user's soul. That's how I designed them. I assumed that, with full permission of the host, sacred gears that are made up of another being's soul, such as myself, had the ability to modify their host, so to speak. We decided that Issei was to become an angel. So, there wasn't a button? Issei asked. No, Issei. There's no angelification button. I just told you that so it would be easier for you to understand. I don't know if you remember this, but you're 13. That's kind of young to understand full soul transformation. Dang, Issei grumbled. So, is Issei a full angel or an angel-human hybrid? Michael inquired. He should be a full angel. His body just needs another day or two to finish getting used to the adjustment. Frankly, the only reason he isn't rolling around in agony right now is that I've been training him for so long. Hey, you said you didn't think it would hurt that much. Issei shouted. Well, it did initially. Now you should just be sore for a day or two. Why do you think I waited so long to do this? I had to make sure you were ready. So, you're not as big of an idiot as you let on? Issei. Yeah? I'm God. I made the entire world. Of course I'm not an idiot. Right, I keep forgetting about that, Issei chuckled. You two seem rather close, Michael commented. He probably would be scolding Issei for calling the Heavenly Father an idiot, but he was still processing the fact that his father was, in fact, not dead, but inside of a sacred gear that was within this boy. Well, he's been in my head for the past 5 years. We didn't really have much of a choice, Issei said. You say that like you're not happy I'm here. Oh, alright, fine. Uncle Yahweh's been a great help and I don't know what I'd do without him. They're happy? Same to you, child. I'm glad that you're the one who awakened me, God smiled. Now, Michael, I have a favor to ask of you. Your wish is my command, my lord. Michael knelt, having finally caught up with where he was. I apologize for my lack of manners up until now. Please forgive me. Nonsense, my son. You're in charge of heaven right now, are you not? I'm just a sacred gear. For all intents and purposes, God is dead. I'm just Yahweh. Michael took a moment but stood back up as God continued. Now I'm just a sacred gear, and seeing as I've never been activated before, can only teach Issei so much. I'd like for you to go with Issei and teach him everything you can. Don't mention me to anyone else until he's ready, got it? Not even to Gabriel, Uriel, or Raphael. My existence should still be of the utmost secrecy. Of course, father. If that is what you wish, Michael replied. So Issei. Why don't you take Michael with you back to the house before he takes you on a trip to heaven for a little while? I'm really going to heaven? Issei exclaimed. Finally! I've wanted to go forever. Iori's going to be so jealous when I tell her. I'm looking forward to training with you, Issei, Michael smiled. Now, shall we get going? All right. Let's go. He shouted and took off towards his home. All right, Issei. Welcome to heaven, Michael announced, gesturing to the pearly gates. This is so cool. Issei exclaimed. It's been a long time, Yahweh added. It's good to see my old home again. Halt. Identify yourselves. One of the guards spoke. Hello, Peter. Lord Michael, Seraphim, Michael said, releasing his 6 pairs of glistening white wings and his radiant golden halo. This is Issei Hayato. He's my new Jack. Yes, Lord Michael, Peter bowed, opening the gates for the two. Thank you, Peter. Have a blessed day. Michael smiled and continued through the gate. Yes. Thank you, Issei bowed and hurried after Michael. As the two walked through heaven, many angels stopped to bow and greet Michael, some questioning each other who was with him. Michael greeted them each in turn with a radiant smile. Eventually, the two arrived at a brilliant golden elevator. All right, here we are, Issei. The elevator, Michael informed him. This will take us to the other levels of heaven. So, what are all the levels for? Issei asked. There are 7 sections of heaven, he said, pressing one of the elevator buttons. That was first heaven. All of the low and mid-tiered angels live there. Next is second heaven. That's essentially our prison. It's where all the angels who have sinned go to receive punishment. Our first stop is here, third heaven. The elevator doors opened to reveal a balcony overlooking the most beautiful sight Issei had seen since he first met Yahweh all those years ago. Wow, he said under his breath. Beautiful, isn't it? God added. Truly a sight, Michael smiled. All of the angels come here from time to time to remind ourselves what our purpose is. Do you know what that purpose is, Issei? No, Issei answered, still in awe at the landscape before him. Third heaven is the place where all the souls of the dead who have led good and virtuous souls reside. As angels, our first and foremost duty above all others is to protect this place. Those who have made it to heaven deserve an eternity of peace and tranquility, and it's our duty to ensure that they get it. If ever you should find yourself overwhelmed or questioning what you're doing, come here. Remind yourself why we angels live and work. I still remember when I first gave that speech to Michael all those millennia ago. Ah, memories, Yahweh sighed. So, while you are an angel, you haven't technically allied with heaven yet. Is that something you'd like to do? Michael asked. Yeah, he nodded. I decided what I want. I want to bring peace to the 3 factions and protect everyone who can't protect themselves. Truly a noble goal. I can see why Father took to you, Michael smiled, before gazing back at the sight below. They stood there for several minutes just taking in the beauty of third heaven before turning back to the elevator. Well, let's go. We have training to do and I still haven't finished explaining the rest of the floors yet. Right. Issei agreed and got back on the elevator with Michael, who pressed another button before continuing to explain. After third heaven is fourth heaven, the Garden of Eden. That's where the tree of wisdom resides along with its fruit. I'll take you there another time to meet Dulio. Who's Dulio? Dulio's our Joker. I'll tell you about it later, but he's said to be heaven's strongest warrior. Cool, indeed. Following that is fifth heaven. This used to be the home of the Grigori before they fell with Azazel. Now we have some of our own research facilities that Uriel runs, as well as a hospital run by Raphael, Michael explained. Finally, our stop. Sixth heaven. This is where Raphael, Uriel, Gabriel, and myself all live. There are some private training grounds for us too, but to be honest, we haven't really used them since the last war. There's also seventh heaven above this, but only I have access to that floor. That's where God used to reside and it's from there that his system runs. It's my job to monitor the system and ensure that prayers and miracles still happen. I must admit, I'm not nearly as good as my father was, but I do my best. I'm sure he's doing a fine job. Michael was always very modest, God commented. The two walked towards the private training grounds where Michael stood in front of Issei. Now Issei. To begin with, I need to see how strong you are. Why don't you start by releasing your wings so I can get an estimate before we have a quick spar? Yeah, about that. Issei scratched the back of his head nervously. God kinda said he forgot how to activate my wings, so I don't know how to release them. Michael just sighed and approached Issei. Alright, it's rather simple. Just take a deep breath and focus all your holy energy towards your back, okay? Issei nodded and did as Michael told him. The seraph approached and gently touched a finger to his forehead, and wings sprouted out from Issei's back. What they hadn't expected was that Issei's wings were a brilliant golden color, rather similar to God's own. God, however, had 7 pairs of wings, while Issei only had 3 pairs. It worked. Wait, how come mine are gold? I think that would be Father's doing, Michael theorized. Since you have his soul residing within you, you must have his wings. Sounds right to me, God shrugged. But Uncle Yahweh had 7 pairs of wings and you have 6. Why do I only have 3? Issei asked. Well, the number of wings you have corresponds with how powerful you are. 1 pair is low class, 2 is mid class, 3 is high class, 4 is leader class, and 5 is ultimate class. 6 pairs gives you the rank of seraphim, while 7 pairs was something only achieved by the Holy Father himself, and it represented him as our God. You should be proud of your 3 pairs, Issei. The vast majority of angels have only 1 or 2 pairs of wings and you've only been training for a short time. I guess so. Uncle Yahweh said that I'd be about high class and power but you have no combat experience or instincts, God finished. Yeah, that's quite alright, Issei. That's why I'm here, isn't it? I'll be your opponent for now. That's crazy. You have twice as many wings as I do. How am I supposed to fight someone twice as strong as I am? That's not how it works, Issei. The wings actually go up exponentially. For example, let's say that 1 pair of wings held a power level of 5. 2 pairs of wings would be 25, 3 would be 125, 4 would be 625, 5 is 3125, and 6, which is Michael's level, would be 15,625. According to that, Michael is 125 times stronger than you are. How does that help me at all? Issei wailed. Don't worry, Issei. That's why I wanted to see how many wings you had. I'll tone my power level down to around your level. If I don't know what you can do already, I can't really teach you. Now, go ahead and activate your sacred gear and we'll begin. Alright, fine, Issei sighed. Heavenly crown. Alright, let's do this. Come, show me what you've got, Issei. Michael called. Issei gave a powerful flap of his wings and shot into the sky with a great burst of speed. He formed a set of 2 light spears, 1 for each hand, and threw them down towards Michael, who dodged them both and flew after Issei. The 2 formed light swords and clashed, beginning a brief power struggle before Michael quickly overcame Issei and disarmed him. Before Michael could continue the attack, Issei thrust his other palm forward and with a shout, unleashed a shockwave of holy power towards Michael, shoving him back. Very impressive, Issei. I see that the sacred gear gives you some of Father's powers. That's right. Here's my favorite. Purifying Ray. Issei yelled back, firing a beam of light magic from each wing towards Michael. Well, that's different, Yahweh commented. Looks like you don't quite have full control over everything yet, Issei. Michael chuckled, easily avoiding the 6 beams. They each impacted the ground with a powerful explosion, sending clouds of dust into the sky. However, Father was right. Your power is very impressive. Thanks. This is my first real fight. Usually I just shoot at the barrier or the ground, Issei admitted. I see. Well, you should probably start practicing defense. Now should be good. Be ready, Issei. Try not to die, Michael announced, before flying straight towards Issei. Oh, another 4 years went by. Issei continued to train under Michael in secret and was believed by the angels to be Michael's Jack. A few years before Issei had met Michael, heaven developed a system known as the Brave Saints. Modeled after the devil's evil pieces, the Brave Saints allowed the seraphim to convert humans into angels or resurrect them within approximately 10 minutes of their death. The cards corresponded to power level, with 2 being the weakest and the ace being the strongest. In addition, there were 2 jokers, which had to be unanimously approved by the seraphim. As of the current time, Delio remained the only joker. The Brave Saints would serve under their respective seraph, the hearts under Gabriel, the clubs under Raphael, the diamonds under Uriel, and the spades under Michael. The joker would serve heaven as a whole, but was largely autonomous, of near equal standing to the seraphim. In truth, Issei was now far too powerful to be Michael's Jack. In the first 5 years of training under just verbal instruction, Issei managed to reach high class, but in the final 4 years, under the direction of both Yahweh and Michael, who was the strongest if not the second strongest person currently living in heaven, he progressed even faster. Issei had just recently gained his 5th set of wings, meaning his power has increased a minimum of 25 times in only 4 years, a feat that neither Michael nor Yahweh could even begin to believe. Because of his growth and strength, though it was largely at the insistence of God, Michael and Uriel developed a 5th set of Brave Saint cards for Issei. Unfortunately, that meant they had to inform Uriel of God's survival, and he had a rather similar reaction to Michael of shock, followed by aggressive affectional relief, apologies for lack of respect, and was finalized with normal behavior. Since a deck of cards only held 4 suits, they had to discuss a new suit, which was actually relatively simple because of Issei's sacred gear. Issei was now King of Crowns, a suit developed specially for the wielder of the heavenly crown Longinus, and would be given to any future users who chose to align with heaven. For now, Issei was still not allowed to use the cards as he was required to have his 6th pair of wings first. Aside from that, a new development has come up in Issei's life. His parents wanted him to return to public school when he reached high school, to help him regain some of his lost social skills and maybe get some friends. He managed to convince them to relent for his first year, but they were insistent for his second. Issei had to go there or else. Even as an ultimate class angel and wielder of the Longinus heavenly crown, Issei feared his parents' special ability threat of punishment. It still made him shiver to this day, and in truth, no one is immune to such a powerful attack. Fortunately, however, due largely to his association with Michael and Uriel, Issei was able to attend the school he'd actually wanted to go to, known as Ko Academy. This was a large school, which included a middle school division, a high school division, and a college division on its campus. It used to be an all-female school, but within the last 2 years, it had begun to accept male students as well. Even before then, it was rated as one of the top schools in Japan, and it continued to receive phenomenal marks. This was certainly a nice side benefit of attending a school that held a ratio of 5 girls to every single boy. Issei may have been an ultimate class angel, but he was also a 17-year-old male. Fortunately, according to Yahweh, lust and appreciation for beauty are different things, so as long as Issei refrains from excessive perversion, he should have no risk of falling. Michael didn't necessarily agree with his father's way of thinking. As he put it, "Father has really fallen since he got into that sacred gear," but there wasn't much he could really do. So it would be as it will, with Issei starting his first day of the new school year at Ko Academy. Beep. Beep. Proverbs 13:4. Beep. Beep. The soul of the sluggard craves and gets nothing, while the soul of the diligent is richly supplied. Beep. Beep. Smack. Ugh, Issei groaned, covering his eyes with his arm. I can't believe I lost that stupid bet with you. Pretty sure that this is a fairly tame punishment for losing a bet, Issei. Besides, you get to wake up every morning to someone reading one of my quotes about how sloth is a sin. How could you not love waking up to my wisdom every morning, Yahweh said smugly. Pride is a sin, you know, Issei grumbled back, rolling himself out of bed. And before you say anything, yeah, I know. You're a sacred gear now, so the rules don't apply to you as strongly anymore or whatever. Next time we make a bet, I'm winning for sure. Issei, you do understand that even if you do manage to win a bet against me, keep in mind that is a big if. There's nothing you can actually make me do, right? I'm a sacred gear. I can't exactly do something that warrants you making a bet with me, God pointed out. Really? Issei smirked. Why don't you check my mind, if you want me to? I still don't COHNO. You wouldn't dare. You made me buy an alarm clock that reads me Bible verses about the sin of sloth every morning. Try me, I will keep that in mind. Issei, dear, shouted Mickey from downstairs. Breakfast is ready. Hurry up or you'll be late. Coming. Issei yelled back while finishing putting on his uniform. This seems really cliché, don't you think? What do you mean? Haven't you paid any attention to any of the manga or anime that I've looked at? The main character lives in relative peace until he's 16 or 17, and then everything starts going wrong on the first day of school after someone tells him to hurry up and eat, or he'll be late. It's the beginning of every light novel, movie, manga, and TV show ever made. I'll be honest with you, Issei. Whenever you look at those things, I tend to take a nap. I don't think you could be any more boring if you tried, Issei deadpan. Just for that, I'm going to take a nap right now. If you don't mind. And here I thought sloth was a sin, he muttered aloud. Hush, child. There's nothing else I can do in here aside from talking to you and sleeping. This qualifies as productive in my eyes. I thought you were taking a nap? Issei just shook his head and walked downstairs for breakfast. Well, are you excited for your first day? Mickey asked, serving up Issei's favorite Western-style breakfast of eggs, bacon, toast, and orange juice. I guess so, Issei replied, thanking her for the food. I mean, I haven't been to a school since Irina left. I don't really remember anything. Ah, young love, his mom sighed, to which Issei rolled his eyes. She'd been making that same joke every time he mentioned Irina for 9 years. I'm sure he's plenty excited, Goro insisted. After all, just look at all the girls there. I mean, our son could be drowning in women, Dad. Issei groaned. Oh dear, Mickey shook her head. Now, don't be like that, Mickey. Just think of all the grandchildren we could have if this goes well. Goro insisted. She thought about this for a moment before turning back to Issei. What's the female-to-male ratio at Ko again? Like 5 to 1? I think? Issei guessed. I want at least 5 grandchildren, Mickey decided, before going back into the kitchen, causing Issei to let out another groan. Not right away, of course, Goro clarified. Wait a few years first. We're still too young to be called grandparents, you know. I'm getting older by just talking to the both of you, Issei sighed before finishing up his breakfast. Alright, I have to go or I'll be late. I don't need this to be any more of a cliché. Alright, son. Just be careful and make sure you keep your uncle on a tight leash. You know how he gets, Goro chuckled. If you told him 10 years ago that he'd be asking his son to make sure that the God from the Bible didn't act out in school, he'd have called a psychologist to give you a thorough mental examination. I know, we'll be fine. MOM. I'm leaving, not without lunch you're not. She called back, entering the room with a bento box. Be careful out there. Love you too, Mom, he answered, taking the box and waving to his family before setting out. Look at that. Our son is all grown up, Mickey sighed. It feels like just yesterday that he was losing bets to a voice in his head. That was last week actually, Goro pointed out. Oh right. After a short walk, Issei was finally arriving at the gates of Ko Academy. He was wearing their school uniform, consisting of a black blazer over a white dress shirt, black dress pants, and brown dress shoes. In addition, he wore a shimmering silver rosary necklace with a large crimson-red gem in the center. It was a gift from his Uncle Michael after getting his 5th pair of wings, and he'd worn it obsessively ever since. After walking through the gates, he could already hear the whispers. "Who's that? Is he new this year? Oh, he's cute. I hope he's not a massive pervert. Just keep him away from those two. Maybe he and Kiba will fall in love and have lots of." "Kiara, would you relax with your fantasies?" "Sorry." While walking towards the buildings, Issei just chuckled slightly to himself. He knew that he was objectively attractive. Such would occur after training obsessively for 9 years. That's not to mention the fact that the supernatural usually were far more appealing to look at than ordinary humans. Especially angels. It was said that Gabriel was not only the most beautiful woman in heaven, but the most beautiful woman to ever exist in the realm. He really wanted to meet her. She was also supposed to be really sweet too. He definitely didn't want to meet her only because of how pretty she was supposed to be. He wasn't some kind of womanizer who treated them as objects or trophies. That would be preposterous. Satisfied with his newfound sense of morality, as it relates to not viewing one of the 4 great seraphim as an object of his attraction, Issei finally arrived at the student council office. Apparently, it was relatively uncommon for students to join the school after freshman year, so they would be given their schedules for the school year the year prior. This meant that Issei had to first visit the student council to get his schedule before going to class, pretty much guaranteeing him to be slightly late and even more of a center of attention. So much for this not being cliché, he thought to himself, before knocking on the door. "Enter," came a female voice from inside. Issei opened the door to a mid-sized office. It had several cabinets and bookshelves along the walls, with one couch along the left side. Near the center was a large desk. On one side sat a young woman with shoulder-length, black hair and a set of piercing violet eyes behind a pair of glasses. She wore the female co-academy uniform, which was a white, long-sleeved dress shirt, a black shoulder cape and matching corset, a black ribbon, and a frighteningly short magenta skirt. Every time he looked at one of those, he wondered how the person in charge of the school was interested. Beside her stood another young woman with black hair and glasses, though her hair was long. As in, all the way to her ankles long. She also wore the co-academy girls' uniform, and the two of them together formed quite the intimidating duo. Especially with what Issei and Yahweh noticed immediately upon entering the room. "They're devils?" he asked in shock. "Seems like it. Don't panic or react, just ask completely naturally. She might sense something off about you if she's talented, but she won't know anything further than you may not be entirely human," Yahweh instructed. "Got it," he agreed. "Besides, I want to make peace between all 3 factions. Maybe it'll help to have some devil friends." Probably would. Fortunately for him, his observation and quick discussion took all of a few seconds, as he turned to close the door as the woman sitting down spoke up. "You're Issei Hayadu, is that right?" she asked, looking up from a sheet of paper. "Yes, ma'am," he replied, bowing slightly. "Are you the student council president?" "Indeed. My name is Sona Torai and this is Tsubaki Shinra, my vice president." "Please sit." "Thank you, President, Vice President." He nodded at the two and took a seat. "So you're new this year?" "Yes, President. I've been homeschooled until now." "And why is that?" she asked, narrowing her eyes. "Perceptive one she is," Yahweh chuckled. "My parents and I felt like I could get a better education at home," Issei said, deciding that, since it was technically the truth, he wouldn't get any points towards his sin score that Yahweh had been tallying for entertainment. "We decided I would attend Co so I would be better prepared for college." "I see," she nodded, looking back at the paper. "So, after high school, you plan to go to college, do you?" "I will likely either attend Koa's college division or enter the workforce at my uncle's company," Issei answered. "Very well," she sighed. "Here's your schedule, Issei. Your first class is in room 2B. Hurry along, you're already late." "Yes, President." "Thank you," he took the paper and bowed. "Vice President." After leaving the room, Sona turned to her vice president. "Something about him seems off." "I agree. I couldn't sense anything, but he didn't seem totally human," Tsubaki agreed. "Besides, it's rather uncommon to transfer to high school during the second year, especially for that reason. We'll have to keep an eye on him." "Yes, President." "You know, I should be insulted that she got upset at me about my being late," Issei thought while walking to the classroom Sona pointed him towards. "I mean, it wasn't my decision to have me pick up my schedule after school started. The bigger question is why she was there. Doesn't she have to go to class too?" Yahweh pointed out. "I never thought about that," Issei exclaimed, eyes wide in shock. "Come to think of it, the student council presidents in all the anime and manga are always in their office too. Don't they have to go to class? If being president means you don't have class, why doesn't everybody run?" "Forbidden knowledge," Yahweh nodded in agreement. "Keep it hush-hush for now. By the way, I forgot to mention. You got 1 extra sin point in there. That brings your total for the week up to 27. "What? How? It's only Monday. And what did I do wrong in there? Don't you remember thinking about the skirts? We may have an agreement of me not going into your thoughts, but I know exactly what you were thinking. Don't lie to me, Issei. I have no idea what you're talking about, he huffed back, a slight blush on his face. Besides, even if I was dash. Gotcha. Oh, shut up. We're here. Sure enough, Issei had reached the outside of classroom 2B and knocked on the door. After a short pause, the door opened, revealing a smiling, middle-aged woman with brown hair and glasses. You must be our new student, she exclaimed in a bubbly voice. Please come in. Come in. Yes, thank you, Miss. It's Miss Hatcher. My family was from England, she answered happily, closing the door behind him. All right, class. We have a new student transferring in today. Why don't you introduce yourself? Hello? My name's Issei Hayato. Glad to meet all of you, Issei greeted with a slight bow. The class quickly started talking about him amongst themselves. He's cute, I know that, I saw him this morning. We get the second kiba. Yay, not another one. The boys wailed. All right, quiet down, class. Ms. Hatcher clapped loudly. Now, does anyone have any questions for Issei before we get back into the lesson? Yes, Murayama? Please introduce yourself before asking. Hello, my name's Murayama, the girl stood and greeted. She had brown hair and a ponytail with a red ribbon holding it there. Where'd you get your necklace? Are you a Catholic? I got it from my uncle. Yeah, my uncle, Issei answered slowly. Real smooth, Yahweh commented. And I suppose that yes, I am a Catholic. So you're not a pervert? She asked suspiciously. I would like to think I'm not. He answered awkwardly. Good, she replied simply and sat back down. All right, anyone else? Yes, you next. I'm Kates. Another girl stood and introduced herself. She had pink hair and a bright smile. Are you single? And are you gonna join a club? Yes, I am single. I don't know if I'll join any clubs. Honestly, I don't really know any of the clubs that are here, Issei admitted. You should join the Kendo club, she exclaimed. Kates. Don't just recruit people, Murayama complained. Why not? All right, you two sit back down. You can discuss your clubs later, Ms. Hatcher quieted them down. You can take a seat back there. Okay, now this is just getting ridiculous, Issei thought, walking towards his seat. This cannot be real. A seat at the back of the class near the window? How cliché can you get? What, do you think you're in some sort of anime or something? Come on, you're not that interesting, Yahweh deadpanned. A guy can dream, he snapped back. All right, back to the lesson, Ms. Hatcher excitedly announced. And that's why anarcho-communism is actually the best system of government. It's so far left, it's right. And there's the bell. Enjoy your lunch, everyone, the bubbly teacher said before skittering out of the room. Finally, I thought that would never end, Issei mentally groaned. And I thought your lessons were boring. As much as I'd love to yell at you for being an ungrateful brat, you've got some company. Issei hummed before turning his head to be met with a smiling Pinkette. Your name's Issei, right? She asked. Yeah, Issei Hayato. A pleasure to meet you, he smiled, standing up and reaching his hand out. Yeah, you too, she answered, shaking his hand. So, did you think about joining the Kendo club? Are you sure that would be okay? Your friend didn't seem too receptive to the idea, he chuckled. Oh, she'll get over it. Come on. Let's go have lunch, she insisted, grabbing his hand and pulling him along. Hey, hold on. Slow down. Issei grinned as he was pulled along with her. The two found a spot outside to sit and eat lunch. So, have you ever tried Kendo before? Kates asked, opening her lunch. Not Kendo specifically, no, but I have done some work with sword combat before, he replied. Well, you should think about joining. You'd be the only guy there too, so that's what this is about. You could have just started with that. Hey, I wanted to get to know you too. She pouted and rubbed her arm. I mean, you are kinda cute, and you said you were single, so I figured if you joined the Kendo club I could get to know you a bit better. Cute, Issei thought. Alright, I'll give it a shot if it'll make you happy. You will? Thanks, Issei, she exclaimed, giving a massive grin. Sure. If you answer a question. What was with Murayama asking about perverts? You'd think that was kind of a weird question, to say the least. Well, we kind of have a bit of a problem with perverts here, she admitted. Most of the guys are, but especially two that are so open about it we call them the perverted duo. Wow. That bad? Yeah. It gets kind of annoying, but Murayama really hates it. I can understand why, Issei nodded. From a logical standpoint, you could perceive it as flattery, though a fairly deplorable form of it, admittedly. I guess? She said, a little confused. Don't mind me, I'm just a bit of a rambler. So, after school, right? Yeah. Across campus, in the old school building, a young woman stood at the window gazing out at the grounds below. She was, in a word, gorgeous, with her long crimson hair and her deep blue eyes. Did Sona tell you about our new student? He sure seems popular. Another young woman came behind her and giggled. She was just as beautiful as the first but had lengthy black hair with a yellow ribbon. Yes, she did, Akino, the crimson-haired girl replied. She said she sensed something different about him. Are you planning on having Kaneko tail him for a while? Akino asked. Yes, be careful, Rias. It could be dangerous. Thanks for your concern, but not following him is just as dangerous, Rias replied, tightening her fist even more. The rest of the day passed by without incident, Issei going to his classes and reacquainting himself with society. After the final bell rang, he headed for the kendo club room to meet up with Keitase and the rest of the club members. After a few minutes of wandering aimlessly, he found it. There it is, he thought, reaching for the door. Hope she's not too mad at me for being late. Issei opened the door to what some individuals in the school would consider to be paradise. There were a total of 6 girls in there, including Murayama but not including Keitase, and they were all in various states of undress while changing into their kendo uniforms. Oh. Pervert. Sorry, he shouted, quickly closing the door and turning around. I think that's worth 3 points, Yaoi hummed. That's only worth 1. Wait a minute, that shouldn't count at all. How is it my fault half a dozen attractive girls were getting changed in the clubroom instead of the locker room? A fair argument, Yaoi nodded. 2 points. Hey, that's not dash. Issei. You made it. Keitase exclaimed, running towards him. Why is your face all red? Clubroom changing girls, he stuttered out, still trying to process the image. Changing? Oh. Murayama. She groaned. I told her you'd be coming today. I'm really sorry about that. I'll go explain to them that this is not your fault. Girls' underwear pink, he babbled, as she giggled and went into the clubroom. That's another 2 points, Yaoi sighed. And I tried so hard to make you not a pervert. I'm not a pervert. Issei snapped back. It just caught me off guard. Okay, Issei? You can come in now, Keitase said, popping her head out the door. I already explained everything to them, so you should be safe. Can you speak okay now? I don't think my point will hold up if you're in a perverted daze. Pervert. I'm not a pervert. Walking into a room full of 6 extremely attractive girls in their underwear will catch any 17-year-old guy off guard, okay? He defended. I'm just teasing you, she giggled. I guess you got lucky for your first day. Now come on, Issei sighed and rubbed his face before walking into the room. Wow, this is really cool, he commented. Isn't it? Keitase agreed. It was a fairly large room decorated like a dojo, with various training equipment scattered about including dummies, swords, armors, weights, and targets. Hello, pervert, Murayama coldly greeted. I'm not a pervert. Issei defended. Not yet at least. Lay off him, Muri. He's not the one who decided everyone should change in the middle of the clubroom. We have locker rooms for that, you know, Keitase pointed out. Murayama huffed, turning away. You're really an angel, you know that? Issei said sarcastically. Anyway, so kendo is just like normal sword fighting but with armor and bamboo swords, right? They're called bakken, but yes, essentially, Keitase nodded. How about this? You fight Murayama and if you win she has to admit you aren't a pervert, and apologize for calling you one. Hey! Don't volunteer me for bets. Murayama protested. And if you lose, you have to do anything Murayama says for a whole school day, Keitase finished. That hardly seems even, Issei deadpanned. High stakes, low reward. A really tough choice on this one, Issei, Yaoi commented sarcastically. Well, yeah, but I don't want to look like a wimp. Besides, it's not like they can beat me, right? Right, no comment. Well, now I'm taking it just to spite you, Issei declared. Alright, fine. I'm game. I want one other thing from her too. I get to make her do one thing for me. That seems fair. If I lose, I have to do anything for a whole day, but if I win she has to apologize and do only one thing. Fine, but you're going to regret that. Pervert, Murayama huffed, and went to put her gear on. Sorry about her. She's actually really sweet, Keitase apologized. Murayama just really hates perverts, and so many of the guys here tried to sneak peeks at her. She doesn't trust any of them. I understand, he sighed, looking through the bakken to find one he wanted, even if they were all nearly identical. That's why I took the bet. Maybe she'll warm up to me a bit. That's the spirit. But don't think you'll win too easily, Keitase winked. She is our captain, after all. Well, looks like I'm in for a challenge. Is it alright if I don't wear the armor? Well, I don't think there's a rule saying you must wear it, especially since this is an unofficial match. Great, he said, heading towards the sparring area. Wait, aren't you worried about getting hurt? She asked worriedly. Nah, don't worry about me. I doubt anyone could give me more than a bruise with one of these things, even at full strength, if you're sure. You seem rather confident, Murayama commented, approaching Issei with her own bakken in hand. Well, I have to be. If you're not confident in your victory, then there is no chance that you will obtain it. You know what they say, victorious warriors seek to win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. Are you quoting Sun Tzu to me? She asked, narrowing her eyes. I'm very impressed you knew who that was from, actually, he replied, rather surprised. Most people have heard of him, but don't know any of his stuff or just say bless you when I bring his name up. Of course I know Sun Tzu, but this isn't a history lesson, this is a spar. Ready? Born ready. Any rules I should know about? First to 3 clean hits wins. If your opponent should be unable to continue before those 3 hits, you win by default. That sounds fair. Ready? Ready, fight. Another girl yelled out, starting the match. Murayama moved first, striking horizontally from Issei's left side, which he easily blocked. She forced more weight on the blade, trying to force his sword to an awkward angle, but Issei caught her off guard. He allowed her to overextend before throwing his full strength to shove her back before swiping diagonally up from her lower left side. She managed to lean back in time to dodge it, but not in time to evade or block his thrust, which caught her into the chest guard. Point, Issei Haida, announced the girl from before. That was fast. He's good. Nice job, Issei. Keitase called. So you aren't hopeless after all, Murayama commented. Don't go so easy on me next time, Issei grinned. Fight. This time, Issei moved first, making several consecutive strikes that were all perfectly blocked or parried. She forced him into a blade lock, sliding their blades downwards towards the floor before shoulder checking him, catching him off balance in time to go for a horizontal strike that caught his side. Point, Murayama. That looked like it hurt. Nice job, Muri. Hang in there, Issei. Keitase cheered. There, now that's a bit better, Issei chuckled. Don't patronize me, Murayama said back. Fight. The next few rounds were all much closer and much longer than the first two, either able to land a strike for a long period of time before they were tied at 2-2. Alright, last round. The winner of this round wins the bet, the announcer girl said. Okay, fight. Not set to take any chances, Issei struck. He feinted a jab to her left side before making a powerful swipe at her right. She managed to block the swipe with a grunt of resistance and a shocked face at the sudden increase in force. From there, Issei got more and more aggressive, pressing his offense and forcing her into a state of a completely desperate defense. Issei then made a final powerful horizontal swing, which was blocked once more by Murayama, but Issei smirked anyway. You fought well, Muri, but I win. Don't call me Muri. And you haven't won any. Snap. Murayama was interrupted by the sound of her bakken snapping from the force of Issei's swing. I suppose that's the match, Issei grinned, before gently poking her stomach with his bakken while she just stared at her broken one in shock. TTH, that's it, the announcer girl said, still in relative shock. Issei Haida is the winner. He beat Muri. So cool. How'd he do that? Do you think he'll go out with me? Nice job, Issei. Keitase congratulated him. Now, Muri, in accordance with the bet. I never agreed to anything, Murayama huffed, turning away. Oh, come on, just do it. He took a completely one-sided bet just to get you to admit he's not a pervert. Keitase complained. Fine. Murayama turned back towards him and looked down to speak softly. You're not a pervert. I'm sorry I blamed you for our decision to change in the open like that. It's fine, I appreciate the apology. I'm sorry for walking in on you like that, Issei answered. But you still have to do one thing for me. What is it? She grumbled, narrowing her eyes at him. You have to. He paused for dramatic effect, as everyone leaned their heads towards him for some reason. Let me call you Muri. What? I want you to let me call you Muri, Issei shrugged. Why? She asked, bewildered while Keitase just started giggling. Well, all your friends call you that, ergo, if I call you Muri, we're friends, Issei reasoned. That's not how anything works, Yaoi deadpanned. Well? Keitase asked. Fine, Murayama mumbled. Why, you can call me Muri. Thanks a lot, Muri, Issei said with a wink. I'll come back another time, but I have to head home for now. But you just got here. Keitase pouted. I was just coming to check this place out this time. I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Issei shrugged, patting her head before walking away. Bye, Keitase. Bye, Muri. Bye, Issei. Bye. After Issei had left, Keitase turned to her friend. Well? I told you. Shut up, she grumbled, turning away. Does Muri have a crush? I do not. You know, she was actually really good, Yaoi commented. I mean, you're not particularly good at sword combat. Hey, but she forced you to use some of your angel's strength to win. Few ordinary humans can do something like that without a sacred gear. Still, I feel like I should give you a sin point for cheating. What do you mean cheating? I didn't cheat. You used your angel strength. And where in the rules does it say that supernaturals can't use fractional portions of their strength? Exactly. If anything, I should lose sin points for taking it easy on her. I wouldn't have used it at all, but I had to win the bet. You win this round, child. Mark my words, I shall be victorious in our next verbal bout. Issei continued on his trek home across a local bridge when he noticed he had some company. A cute, short, black-haired girl seemed to be walking towards him. When he turned to look at her, she blushed slightly but continued walking forwards. Fallen angel, right? Issei asked Yaoi. Definitely. I think I remember her. Let's see here, Yaoi hummed. Maybe it'll click when she starts talking. There were a lot of angels and it's been a few thousand years. You're Issei Hayato, right? The girl asked shyly. That's me. And who are you? You probably shouldn't be out on the streets by yourself, you know, Issei pointed out. Oh, I'll be fine. My name's Yuma. Yuma Amano, she stuttered out. I was wondering, would you please go out with me? Yuma Humeich. I remember now. She was a sweet one. You remember her? Wait, how did she fall? Should I be aware of something? You'll be fine probably anyway. I can't tell you how she fell. That's personal information that I can't give you. If you want to know, you'll have to ask her. But you have to wait until after she trusts you completely because that's an extremely personal question. Asking a stranger if they're a virgin is less personal than asking a fallen angel how they fell. Just know that I don't personally have any hostilities towards her. Now you should probably answer because you've been staring at her for over 10 seconds now. It's getting awkward. Oh. Sorry, you just caught me off guard a little. I didn't mean to make you wait so long, Issei chuckled sheepishly. Why not? Sure. I'm free this weekend if you want to go then. Really? She looked up at him smiling. That would be great. Thank you, of course. Now, you really shouldn't be walking the streets on your own like this. Why don't you let me walk you to wherever it is you live? No, I'll be fine. Are you sure, Yuma? I'm just worried about you. It's getting late, you know. Thanks, Yuma blushed. But I'll be fine. Besides, my parents might get the wrong idea if I brought a boy home. I guess that makes sense, Issei nodded. She's a really good actress if this isn't real, is she? God sighed. I wonder what she wants with you. Okay, well, bye, Issei. She called out, waving to him before turning and running in the other direction. Bye, Yuma. He waved back. I think you have one more visitor. I hope it's another cute girl, Issei thought to himself. You heard that, didn't you? +1 sin point for infidelity, Yahweh commented. Oh, shut up. We just met and I haven't done anything yet. Square current point value for incessant lechery. I swear you make up these rules as you go along, Issei sighed before walking forward. So, can you help me find this person? Whoever it is must be extremely good at reconnaissance. I don't sense anything at all. Keep walking forward for about 3 minutes until you get to that corner. Make the left turn and then jump on top of the building. That's extremely detailed. What if people see me? If you need me to come up with a solution to that, then you have failed as my student. Cold. As instructed, Issei continued walking forward until he reached the corner. While turning it, he quickly cast an illusion barrier that would make everything within a 5-foot radius of him seem completely ordinary and uninteresting before leaping on top of the building with a quick flap of a pair of his wings. Okay, now what? Pay close attention to the ground. I'll be able to tell when they come by. Issei leaned over the ledge of the building and simply watched below him for his stalker. After about a minute, a very short girl licking a lollipop started walking by. It's her. Gotcha. Issei nodded and silently dropped down behind her. I didn't expect my stalker to be so short. The girl jumped and whirled around looking at him with wide eyes. You how? Oh my god, he breathed out with wide eyes. She barely came up to his chest in height, and had shoulder-length white hair with a cat hairpiece in it. She was your picturesque adorable little sister. You're so cute. What? She asked, a slight redness to her cheeks. Look at you. And you go to Kutu? This must be my lucky day. Oh, thank the Lord, I had nothing to do with this. +1 sin point. Pervert. So adore. Wait, pervert? I'm not a pervert. Issei stopped mid-sentence to protest. You being adorable does not make me a pervert. Moving on, why were you following me? You seem kind of stoic to be one of those, what are they called? Yandere? Yeah, that. I'm not a yandere, she insisted, and I'm not a pervert. Now, can I help you? Just because you're one of the most adorable things I've ever seen doesn't mean I'm not a little upset that you were following me. Come on, tell me. You're not human, she said with a straight face. Wow, jackpot, he thought. Well, you weren't exactly subtle about confronting her. I thought you were just going to figure out who it was and deal with it later. What's your point? He shrugged. Neither are you. What are you? She narrowed her eyes. Well, little devil, I can't tell you that, Issei chuckled. Now, don't back away all nervous-like. I would never hurt someone who had no intention of hurting me, especially if they're as cute as you are. How do you know? Same way you knew I wasn't human. Now, why don't you come with me and you can ask me some questions, okay? The girl was hesitant at first but nodded and followed him. He led her over to a small cafe that was across from where they were and sat at a small table for the two of them. Issei just ordered tea while the girl across from him ordered a hot chocolate and some sort of chocolate pastry. So, you still haven't told me your name. I'm assuming you know mine, but just in case, I'm Issei Hayato, Kaneko Tuja. First year, she replied simply. So, why don't you tell me why you were following me? Issei asked. Well, I am paying for all of this, you know, he pointed out. All right. If you tell me why you were following me, I'll buy you anything you want from the candy shop next door. Wow, that's not creepy at all. You're luring children with promises of candy now? Good Lord, this is different in context, he protested. And you're the Lord. You don't get to complain to yourself. That's not how anything works. Good point. Fine, she said after the waitress set down her hot chocolate and pastry. But how did you know? I can be pretty observant. You ordered a chocolate pastry and a hot chocolate. Plus, you were licking a lollipop when I caught you stalking me, little yandere. Call it a lucky guess. I'm not a yandere. So, why were you following me? I was requested to investigate you to see if you were a threat, she said, sipping her hot chocolate. See, that was easy. Who asked you to? Kaneko hesitated for a moment. Is this person threatening you? No, calm down. I never meant anything by it. He held his hands up in defense. I was just worried you might have been in trouble from something I did. So, this person is good to you? Actually, wait a second, you're a devil and you were requested to follow me to check for threats. Are you one of those evil pieces? Yes. Alright, I won't ask you what piece you are, though I already have a guess. Definitely a pawn. She's too small for anything else, Yahweh reasoned. However, I really want to know what they want. Do you think your king would be willing to meet with me so I can show I'm not a threat? I really am a peace-loving guy, you know. That's kinda my whole shtick. I don't know. Well, why don't you ask them once we're done here, I'd love to meet them. I'll even give you a note if that'll help. Have any other questions? Why did you agree to go with that girl? Oh, Yuma? She seemed like a nice girl, why not? Issei shrugged. But she was Kaneko started with a suspicious look. Fallen angel? Yeah, she was. And you're an adorable devil. This just proves that both factions can be cute. That's it. You're trusting us because we're cute? Pervert. I like this one a lot, Yaoi laughed. I'm not Issei sighed. I'm not a pervert. You could just take my compliment, you know. I already told you, I'm a peace-loving kinda guy, so I give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I don't really care what faction you're from, fallen, devils, angels, yokai, whatever. I see no reason why we can't all just sit together and get along. And if she tries to kill you for being a potential threat, I don't think that'll happen. He waved her off. Besides, I'm not exactly the easiest person to kill. Now, you seem to have finished everything rather quickly, so why don't I make good on that promise to take you next door now, huh? I've got to get home. Sound good? Kaneko just nodded. I'll admit, even I don't know what you're planning, Yaoi admitted. You're being rather nice to this devil girl. Well, 2 reasons. My whole goal is peace, so I might as well make as many friends from different factions as I can. And the second? She's the most adorable thing I've ever seen. If we become friends, maybe she'll let me hug her and carry her around and dash. I definitely failed. Archangel Michael, help us now, Yaoi cried. Knock. Knock. Come in, Kaneko, called a crimson-haired young woman from her desk. The door opened and shut before she looked up. Welcome back? Hello, President, Kaneko said. In her arms was a very large brown bag overflowing with various sweets and candy. Kaneko? What is all of this? And where did you get the money to buy all of it? Rias asked, standing up and walking towards the short devil. Here, she answered, setting down the giant sack on the table and handing her the receipt. Kaneko, I can't afford. It's a note, she said, sitting on the couch and starting on the large bag of sweets. It's from him. Unfurling the note, Rias began to read. Hello, Kaneko's Devil King. Your adorable little servant was following me today. She's very good at her job, you know. I didn't notice her until I was almost home. Anyway, I took her to a cafe to see what she wanted, and she said you wanted to see if I was a threat. I will say I'm hurt, but I understand. As a token of my goodwill, I purchased this giant bag of sweets for this adorable little devil girl over there in hopes that you are willing to meet with me. I'm a peace-loving kinda guy, so no worries. If you want to meet me, send Kaneko. She's just the cutest thing ever. Anyway, I look forward to talking with you. Issei Hayadu. He's a bit. Rias hesitated. Eccentric? Kaneko asked dryly. Yes. You seem to have made quite the impression on him though, she giggled. My, who's the lucky guy, President? Another girl asked as she walked through the door with a tray of tea. I never thought Kaneko would be the first of us to get a boyfriend. He's not my boyfriend, Kaneko denied, continuing to nibble on her sweets. Apparently, this Issei is more advanced than we thought, Akino, Rias said, handing the note to her. After setting the tea down, she read through the note. Well, he seems to be quite taken with our Kaneko. Akino giggled. Do you intend to meet with him, President? What do you think, Kaneko? Was he genuine? Rias asked. He seemed genuine, Kaneko nodded. And he bought me a lot of sweets. Luring a young girl with sweets, is he? My, what a naughty underclassman he is. Akino teased. Are you hiding anything else from us, Kaneko? No, she shot back, though failing to prevent the pink blush on her cheeks. Pervert. Well, I guess we'll meet with him then, Rias sighed. I wonder what he wants to meet with us for? You're just disappointed because you wanted him in your peerage. Don't quit yet, maybe he'll agree, Akino shrugged. I guess I'm running out of time. I'm back. Issei called, walking through the door. Welcome home, Issei dear. His mother called back, coming out of the kitchen to greet him. How was your first day? Did you meet any cute girls? His dad hollered. Oh, be quiet you. Mickey yelled back. Actually, I got a date for this weekend. Is this true, Yaoi? She asked. I could hardly believe it either, he confirmed. My little boy has his first girlfriend. She exclaimed, hugging him violently. He's all grown up now. That's my son. So, is she cute? Come on, tell us about her. Goro goaded, coming into the front room with his mother. Calm down and put me down. You're squishing me. Issei protested his mother's ultimate motherly love attack. Besides, there's more to it than that. She's a fallen angel, but she was hiding it. I think she's up to something. So you do have a plan? Yaoi exclaimed. And here I thought you were a peace-loving guy who went with it because she was cute. That's only half true. Issei blushed and turned away, which made little to no sense seeing as Yaoi was inside of his soul. A fallen angel, huh? So, is she dangerous, Yaoi? Goro asked, suddenly serious. Well, she wasn't when I was in charge, but it's been a long time. Before you ask, no, I can't tell you why she fell, but it wasn't anything major. The reasons angels fall is something very personal to them. Maybe you shouldn't go then, Mickey said worriedly. I mean, there are plenty more girls, right? You could always wait for Irina or try and meet someone else at school. I'll be fine, Mom. I'm not exactly easy to take down if she tries, Issei chuckled. Besides, it's good to have friends on all sides. Even if she's planning something, it doesn't matter unless she goes through with it. You really believe that? Yaoi asked in surprise. Of course I do. I mean, she could be in bed right now cackling about how easy it'll be to kill me, but as long as she doesn't actually try to do it, I won't hold it against her. Maybe the date'll change her mind, Issei explained. You think you're that enjoyable that a simple date is going to make her give up on her plans? Plus one sin point, you really need to tone that pride down. You're not that fun to be around, neither are you, but I tough it out, don't I? Issei snapped back. Alright, you two, relax. Just make sure you're careful, okay, Issei? She said. I'll be fine, you don't need to worry about me, I'm your mother. It's my job to worry about you. You'll let me worry about you and you'll like it. Got it? Yes, ma'am. Issei quickly stiffened at her tone. Great. She smiled, her tone instantly softening. Well, dinner's almost ready. Why don't you go change and we can eat? Issei turned to his father as she walked back into the kitchen. Scary Issei shivered. You have no idea, Goro agreed, shivering as well. Beep. Beep. Proverbs 10 verse 4. Beep. Beep. A slack hand causes poverty, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. Beep. Beep. Smack. I hate so much about the things that you choose to be, Issei groaned as the sunlight assaulted his eyes. You'd better be talking to the clock and not me. Now, get yourself up. Come on, child. Move it. I can't believe it's only the second day, Issei thought to himself, heading past the gates towards the school. I hope every day isn't as eventful as it was yesterday. Hi, Issei. Came a feminine voice. Issei turned and saw Keitase running up to him with Murayama walking behind her. Good morning, Keitase. Muri, he greeted the two. How are you two? I'm great. Keitase smiled her usual bubbly smile. I'm alright, thanks, Murayama added. So, have you thought any more about joining the Kendo club? Keitase asked. All the girls would love to have you. Even Muri, if she ever admits it. I don't care if he joins or not, Murayama protested, turning away with a slight pink to her cheeks. I appreciate the sentiment, Issei chuckled. I thought about it. I don't think I really have time to be a full-time member. Ah, Issei, Keitase pouted. Please? I didn't finish yet, Issei said, poking her nose. But I'd love to come by whenever I have the time to if that's alright. I guess that works, she sighed. But you have to promise to come often, okay? Sure. And I'll always knock first too. Murayama blushed while Keitase just giggled. Alright, come on. Let's go, class is starting soon. I'm really glad I'm the sacred gear and not the student, Jiaowei grunted and made noises of him stretching. I can sleep through everything. Issei, are you asleep? Zzz, the sounds of Issei sleeping softly came. Come on, you can share. Wonder what he's dreaming about, wondered Yaoi. I'll just date both of you, he muttered, turning slightly in his sleep. Well, that answers that question, Yaoi sighed. Wake up, Issei. Ah. I'm awake. Not another lap. He shouted, earning strange looks from everyone in class. Before anyone could say anything, the bell rang. Alright, class dismissed. Next time, Issei, please stay awake, the teacher sighed before leaving the room. A few of the students snickered while Issei just stood there with an atomic embarrassed blush on his face. Have a nice nap, Issei? Keitase giggled. I didn't, he sputtered out. Alright, fine, I just didn't expect public school to be this boring. You get used to it. So, are you coming down to the Kino clubroom today? She asked. I think Issei was interrupted by someone entering the room. Issei Hayadu, she said. Ah, looks like they agreed to meet with me, Issei smiled. Hi, Kaneko. You can come over here if you're coming to get me, you know. I'll wait here. Isn't she the cutest? Issei sighed. You gonna get me up to speed? Keitase asked. Right, that's Kaneko. I met her. Issei, everyone knows Kaneko. We call her the school mascot. I meant, why is she here looking for you? That's kind of demeaning, Issei scratched his head. Hypocrite. I admit I'm not much better, but at least I made an effort, he defended. Anyway, her club's president wanted to meet with me. So you're joining her club and not ours? I thought we were friends, Issei. Keitase pouted. Don't give me that look. I never said I was joining, I'm just going to meet them. Stop with the puppy dog eyes, Keitase just giggled. Alright, I forgive you. Just come by tomorrow, okay? Of course. Ready, Kaneko? She didn't answer but just turned around and walked out. Well, see you tomorrow then, Keitase. Bye, Issei. Issei, in the meantime, was following Kaneko down the hallway. So, where do we go to meet your king? I've never been to the underworld, so, if we go there, it'll have to be quick. I thought you knew, she said flatly. Knew what? You said that my club president wanted to talk to you. You mean your king is the president of your club? He asked, bewildered. I just made something up. It's not as if I can say, I found Kaneko stalking me and found out she was a devil Yandere on orders from her king to decide if I'm a threat, can I? Why would someone who lives in the underworld care about you being a threat if you live in Kaneko deadpanned? And I'm not a Yandere, Issei opened his mouth to respond but shut it again just as quickly. Ha ha ha, she's got you there. Yahweh roared with laughter. Shut it. So, what club is it, and where exactly are we going? The Occult Research Club. The old school building. Not much of a talker, are you? Anyway, sorry for gushing over you so much. If I had known they called you a mascot, I would have been a bit more restrained. I just don't really get a lot of contact with others, he chuckled. Kaneko said nothing. Don't get me wrong, you are adorable. I just figured you might have gotten tired of it. I'm sure there's plenty of things to compliment you about aside from that though. I just don't know you very well. As Issei continued to fill the silence, they entered the old school building. After a short walk through the hallways, which were decorated to look like a Victorian-era mansion, they reached a door. Kaneko knocked before walking in. The room was also decorated in a Victorian style, with plush red couches and various candles around the room. Occult paraphernalia adorned some of the walls and desks, and there was a large window overlooking the courtyard to one side. So, you're Issei Hayato? Yes, Issei nodded to the woman sitting at the desk. And you are? I'm Rias Gremory, heir to the Gremory pillar, and high-class devil. Kaneko's king, she greeted. Please, have a seat. Well, Issei thought while sitting across from Kaneko. Becoming friends with an heiress could be nice, though I really don't know too much about the devils these days. You don't either, right? Not a clue. The only reason I was able to teach you as much as I did is because, when my host dies, I get access to his memories, even if I wasn't activated. Some of them were involved with the supernatural through various means, but I don't recall any of them ever getting to any decent positions with the devils. I think one was a pawn for a few years before dying. So you know who I am, why don't you tell me who exactly it is you are? Rias asked suspiciously. Come now, Rias, take it easy on our cute underclassman, giggled another young woman who entered with a tray of tea. I'm sure he's harmless. Tea? Sure, thank you. Akino Himejima. I'm Rias Queen, she answered, smiling. So, what is it that you want to know? Issei asked. Kaneko says you're not human? We initially thought you were just a sacred gear user, but it seems you admitted to not being human. So what are you? Rias asked. Couldn't I be both, he grinned. Well, little heiress, how about some information for information? I do really want to be friends, don't get me wrong, but trust is a two-way street. I'll tell you as much as I'm allowed to about myself, and you answer some of my questions. Does that work? And what is it that you want to know? Devil politics. I don't really know how it's going down there, and I've never been there. I know about the 72 pillars and I'm aware of what an heiress is, but I must admit, I'm behind the times. My most recent knowledge was Satan and his generals dying, Issei chuckled. I wasn't there for that, so don't have a panic attack or anything like that, but I just don't have up-to-date information. Alright, I'll agree to your deal if your answers are satisfactory, Rias nodded. So, as I asked earlier? What are you? Well, I was a human, Issei started. Think you can make my wings white for me? Yeah, give me a second here, Yahweh answered, tinkering around his soul. A loud buzzsaw went off, followed by what sounded like a frightened bird and a yowling cat. And stay out, you dang lek. Alright, you're good to go. I don't want to know. And now? Rias asked. Alright, you win, Issei sighed. He released 2 pairs of white, feathery wings and a halo. Issei Hayato, resident angel. A pleasure to meet you, little heiress. And why, pray tell, is an angel in my territory? Rias asked, charging up some of her resident Bale family destruction magic. Across the room, Kaneko had jumped up and gotten into a fighting stance while Akino was charging lighting on her hands. Now, devils, I'm sure we can all get along. Issei held up his hands. I'm a peace guy, remember? I wrote it in my note. That's why I'm here. Who sent you? No one sent me. I live here, he answered simply. Well, I guess my parents technically sent me. Who are your parents? Akino asked, putting down her hands while the other did the same, though did not drop their guard. Issei simply flopped back down on his couch and relaxed. Oh, lighten up, will you? My parents are pure human, through and through. I'm a bit of a special case. So, you're a brave saint then? Who are you working under, and why didn't they tell you that this is my territory? Rias demanded. Brave saint close enough. For now, we'll go with that. As for why he didn't tell me, that's a valid question, though I have one in turn. What makes this your territory? I've lived here my whole life. No one told me you owned it. My brother gave it to me to run along with my best friend, the Citri heir, she answered proudly. Oh no, Yahweh groaned. And why does he get to decide that you own the place? Well, this is devil territory. We claimed it. And you just let a bunch of humans live here and don't tell them it's yours? Well, that's different, she tried to protest. So, the way I understand it, is that you've decided this place belongs to devils. Your brother decided to give it to you as a present, and it's your job to make sure no one but devils and humans come here. Is that right? So, is there a reason you chose this place, or is it just arbitrary? Rias stumbled. Not that you tell me if there was, but I get the feeling there isn't. Your brother's either very smart or very stupid. Before you get defensive about anything, let me finish. He managed to make you happy by giving you territory that may or may not be his to give away, But the problem is now there are two heiresses in the same spot. That means that if someone wanted to piss off the devils or just get something from them, all they have to do is kill or kidnap you. Am I right so far? My. Aquino giggled. He's a clever one. I've never seen you at such a loss for words, Rias. Great first impression. Ys say you called her brother an idiot. Good point, didn't think that one through now, did I? Point taken. Rias exhaled and angrily rubbed her eyes. So, regardless of whether you agree or not, this is my territory. I have a right to know who or what comes in here and what they plan to do in case it endangers the people that live here. Actually, I'm rather impressed that you put their safety first, Issei admitted. And sorry about that, I get a little carried away. Tell you what. As an apology, I'll give you some more information. You can choose whether to believe me or not. What kind of information? Well, as you can see, I'm an angel, he said, gesturing to his wings. But I'm not here on anyone's orders. I was just kind of around for most of my life, learning from various people, and my parents wanted me to go to high school for my last 2 years. That's why I'm here. Meeting so many adorable devils is just a bonus. That must be a supernatural thing. You're all so cute. You're getting off topic. Where was I going with this? Oh, right. Anyway, as I said earlier, my whole goal is peace. I see no reason why you have to hunt us angels down, or why we have to hunt you devils down. It's pointless and stupid. I'm sure we can all just sit around a big table drinking tea and getting along without stabbing each other to death. So, you're here to try and foster relations between the devils and the angels? Under whose orders? Rias asked. Still, no one's. I told you I live here. I've lived here since I was a kid, ergo, I chose Co-Academy. I've done some work under Uriel and Archangel Michael, but neither one sent me here for any purpose. They didn't even tell me that this was devil territory, to be honest. I'll have some words with them about that, he grumbled to himself. Anyway, I was going to tell you that anyway. The extra information is that there are some fallen angels in your territory. We know that. Kaneko told us one of them asked you out, Rias pointed out. True, but I thought you might want some more precision. I may or may not have done some reconnaissance and discovered that there are 4 fallen angels working together at the abandoned church. 2 are high class, 1 is mid class, and 1 is low class. You also might want to know that there is little to no chance that they are working autonomously. If they were, there would only be 1 high class and a hodgepodge of low class. Since there are 2 high class fallen angels there, it stands to reason that there is someone else running them directly behind the scenes, either leader or ultimate class. Apparently, Azazel is a lot like me and is a big peace guy. That's what Michael has told me, anyway. The guy is way more interested in sacred gear research than fighting. That stands to reason that he's not the one in charge of this, seeing as no non-violent mission would require 2 high-class fallen angels in today's day and age. That means that this is more than likely something violent that Azazel doesn't know about, which means that it's some sort of threat. If it was just Yuma, you wouldn't have to worry. I really didn't know what this meant, but now that I know you and the Citri Air are here, this makes a lot more sense. Assuming your presence here is common knowledge among the supernatural, my prediction is that a very high-ranking fallen angel defected with some subordinates, whether loyal or by force, trickery, or blackmail, and is attempting to do something to the 2 of you. Whether that be kidnapping you for ransom, murdering the 2 of you as you could be a threat, trying to use you as bait for a trap, I have no idea. There's no real way to know. The room was silent for a few moments as everything processed. You got all of that just from finding the power levels of fallen angels? Rias asked in shock. I made some leaps, but it's relatively logical reasoning. Keep in mind that this is all conjecture. For all I know, this could be a much larger conspiracy or a much smaller one. I mean, it's entirely possible that they are just trying to escape the Grigori and live normal lives. And you didn't come to that conclusion because? Aquino asked. 2 reasons. If you were leaving the Grigori to live a normal life, why would you leave in a group? Besides, as I mentioned, Azazel is supposed to be a peaceful guy. Unless Michael's information is outdated, I doubt he would force people to stay. The main reason though is that they're staying in the abandoned church. They might as well hold up a big sign that says we fallen angels are on a mission. Rias, if he's right, this could be dangerous, Aquino said. Should you contact your brother? No, this is my territory and I'll handle it. I'll make sure to tell Sona. Sona's the other heiress? So Shitori's an alias clever, Issei nodded. Okay, so I guess I have one other question. You said something about having a sacred gear earlier. No, I didn't, he answered confused. Kiba, Rias called. Yes, President, he answered, coming out from his hiding spot in the closet. I wonder if that's a metaphor, Issei thought. Kiba cleared his throat before reading from a notepad. Rias, we initially thought you were just a sacred gear user, but it seems you admitted to not being human. So what are you? Issei, couldn't I be both? You have a scribe? Issei asked, bewildered. This is Kiba Yudo, my knight, Rias introduced. Pleasure to meet you, Kiba bowed. Issei Hayadu, he grinned slightly. So, you use the knight's speed to write faster? Man, you are something else, Rias. That's so stupid and so brilliant at the same time. I don't know what to think. Don't avoid the question, Issei. You do realize I have all rights to have you killed for trespassing, right? At the very least, this could be a spark that increases the tension and lead to war, Rias threatened. Oh, don't be like that, little heiress. You know as well as I do that you won't do anything as long as you don't see me as a threat. Besides, I'm here to make friends, he waved her off. And I am rather confident that you couldn't kill me if you tried, but let's not test my theory. Oh? And why's that? TSK, 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 Rias. Don't underestimate someone you just met, Alright, why don't you answer some of my questions now, Fine. A short while later, Rias' lesson on the history of devils and the basics of their current political situation finished. Well, that was boring, Issei groaned. You're the one who asked for the information, Rias pointed out. I never said it would be entertaining. True, Issei nodded. Alright, got anything else for me? Would you like to join the occult research club, full-time? Nah, I get pretty busy. Besides, K-Tace would never let me hear the end of it if I did that. I'll split up my after-school time between you and the Kendo club though if that's alright. Sure thing, Issei, Rias smiled. Okay, well then, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Issei waved but paused before closing the door. Oh, and one more thing. You guys know about the system of Longinus, right? Yes, why do you ask? Rias asked, tilting her head slightly. Well, why not add a bit of a bonus? God made 13 of those powerhouses. That's what people think, anyway. What I think is that they're missing 2. Well, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye then. Issei waved as he closed the door. Just before it shut, Rias could have sworn she saw his wings flicker gold for a brief moment. Once again on his way home, Issei was approaching the bridge. This time, before crossing it, he happened to see a girl standing and looking below at the water. He walked up and stood next to her. Hi, Yuma, he greeted softly. Ah. She squeaked, jumping up and turning around. Issei. You scared me, sorry about that. What's wrong, Yuma? He asked. Nothing's wrong. She smiled brightly at him, though he could tell it was fake. I didn't expect to see you here this late. I had some stuff at school to take care of, Issei shrugged. Are you sure nothing's the matter? I know we don't know each other very well, but if I'm going to be your boyfriend I should help you, right? She blushed. Oh, of course. I'm fine, Issei, but TGP. She was cut off by Issei giving her a hug. It'll be okay, Yuma. You don't have to tell me. You're sweet, you know? If something really is wrong, you remember you can come to talk to me, okay? Okay, Issei, she nervously replied. Alright, I should get home, Issei said, releasing his embrace. And you should too. Remember what I said, it's dangerous around here at night. I know, she whispered. Bye, Yuma, he said, affectionately rubbing her shoulder as he walked off. Remember that you have many chances before you fall in too far. She stood there smiling and looking at the ground for a moment before his words caught up to her. Wait, why he's gone. Sure enough, when she looked up, he was nowhere to be found. He couldn't know, right? You're really pushing it with all these hints you're dropping, you know that, Issei? Yahweh commented as Issei worked on his homework in his room at his desk. I can't believe I slept through that. Hey, I failed to see how you falling asleep is my problem. Besides, I have faith in Yuma. No one that adorable could be all that bad, right? You are so weak, God deadpanned. Cute people can be evil too. I refuse that notion. Now, if you'll excuse me, Michael's stopping by with the news today, Issei huffed. Roughly 2 years into Issei's training in heaven, Michael started teaching Issei about the job of the seraphim and how God's system worked. Michael hoped that Issei would soon become an archangel and take over his position, and Issei simply wanted peace and to help as many people as possible. So, they decided, Issei would soon be introduced to the seraphim and then the rest of heaven, following which he and Michael would split the duties of God's system. Because of this, Michael would frequently bring Issei news of various happenings of heaven and the churches so that Issei was up to date on important information and the decisions Michael made based on them. Issei occasionally gave input as well, allowing for some basic scenario practice. Today, Michael would stop by the Hayata residence to discuss various happenings with Issei. Ding dong, that's him. Good timing, I suppose. That's Michael, Mom. Issei yelled. I'll get it. Okay, dear. She called back. Issei headed downstairs to get the door. Hey, Uncle Michael. Hello, Issei, he smiled. May I come in? Yeah, come on. Mom's making dinner. Are you staying for that? I'd love to, but we do have things to discuss first. Yeah? Come on, we'll talk upstairs, Issei said, and the two headed back to Issei's room. Once they were settled, they started to chat. So, what's up? Well, there were a few events that were made known to me. First and foremost, apparently Excalibur rapidly has gone missing, Michael began. It's what? Issei yelled. Didn't I specifically say to keep those things in the hands of strong wielders? Don't tell me you're wasting the Holy Sword project. That was the biggest failure I've ever heard of, and you aren't even trying to use his research? Relax, Issei. We're looking for capable wielders. Few exorcists have proven powerful enough, Michael explained. I'll take one if you'd like, Issei volunteered. Well, we'd have to introduce you to the seraphim first, and you aren't exactly the best sword user out there, Michael chuckled. I'm adequate, Issei huffed. Alright, so you screwed up keeping another one of the Excalibur fragments from creating a tragedy, and now we can only hope whoever took it isn't planning on taking over the world or something. Actually, that's part of why I came here. Do you have any theories on who took it? You've been second only to Lord Regel in investigative affairs. Well, you haven't really given me any information to work on. What do you expect me to do here? Let's see common enemies of the church, or more specifically the Excaliburs. Issei thought for a moment. Well, the most likely scenario would be that someone just wanted a powerful sword and decided that rapidly was, for whatever reason, the easiest one they could take. They're looking for glory or power or something, who knows? Another possibility could be acquaintances of the victims of the Holy Sword Project. It's possible that someone knew one of the children and discovered that Valper killed them, and this is their strange form of justice that they came up with. A third theory would be that someone seeks to weaken the Heaven faction, which would likely be either a terrorist group, a warmonger, or a combination of the two. That's likely the worst-case scenario. If I had any information I could come up with a better theory, but I can't really do much just from the knowledge that someone took rapidly. Sorry, Michael. No, you've done plenty, Issei. You actually came up with more than Lord Regel did. He only came up with your first theory, Michael praised. I'll be sure to let you know if I get any more information. Alright, any good news? Well, no, not really, the Archangel admitted. More bad news. I actually had to come to tell you this in person so you didn't freak out. Oh Lord, what did you do now? Issei groaned. God hummed. Shei shomshing ishii? No, Yahweh, are you eating something? Yeah, you can eat? In my soul? You weren't supposed to know about that. Just ignore me and finish talking to Michael. Did Father say something? Michael chuckled. Apparently he can eat food in my head, Issei deadpanned. Now tell me what you did or failed to do. Alright, calm down, Issei. So you remember that saint from Italy? The Holy Maiden? Yes, the one that you determined was so special she should be treated like a prisoner? I didn't order that, Michael defended. You also did nothing to stop it, Issei pointed out. Anyway, she's currently in the process of being excommunicated. She's what? Issei yelled. What in God's name could she have done? Well, that's the thing. She healed the devil. That's it. Issei looked down and clenched his fist. You're telling me a dedicated nun and the Holy Maiden is being excommunicated for doing her job? Unfortunately, yes, Michael sighed. And what are you doing to stop it? You know I can't do anything, Issei. Heaven is desperate. If we impeded on the trial of someone that's been nearly universally declared as a heretic, we'd lose huge sections of the church. Worst case scenario, the Vatican could rebel. That's absurd and you know it. The church was built on the principles of forgiveness, kindness, and love. Not rules, regulations, and race. Issei protested. Yahweh, back me up here. It's a tough situation, Issei. Unfortunately, the idealistic beliefs we share are not necessarily universal. What are you? Let me finish, Issei, Yahweh interrupted. That's why we have these discussions with Michael. You are absolutely correct in your assessment, Issei. The church was built on my principles and I truly believe in forgiveness and love, but that's not always possible. Idealistic thinking is just that, ideal. The key to being a leader is a mix of ideals and reality. Unfortunately, Michael is right. What's happening to the Holy Maiden is terrible, and if there was anything I could do to help her I would. But, as a leader, you must make the necessary choices. Sacrificing one for the good of many is the most painful decision that leaders are sometimes forced to make. It's only something that leaders could understand, but it's a pain you have to bear in order to be successful. Issei clenched his fist. That's just not fair, she doesn't deserve that. I understand, Issei. I'll do everything I can for her, and if there's anything you can do to help as well, I'll tell you immediately. Thank you. Well, with the two biggest issues out of the way, there are some other minor things. Let's see here, church upgrades in Germany, yes, strange prayers coming from the United States about foreigners from Gabriel begging to see my Jack, no, not that one Japanese restaurant to be built in heaven, interesting, but what was that last one? Issei interrupted. Oh, there's a Japanese restaurant that's, no, the one before that. That one? Yeah, for some reason there's been a large increase in prayers from the United States, after that. Come on, Michael. Right. Sorry. Yeah, Gabriel has been pestering me about how she hasn't gotten to meet you in person yet. Something about it's unreasonable to keep my brave saints hidden for so long, and we're both seraphim and siblings, so I should know better to keep secrets from her. And? What did you tell her? Issei pressed. I said I'm sure the situation would come up eventually, Michael shrugged. Why were you put in charge again? Issei groaned. Like father, like son, I swear. What's that supposed to mean? What's that supposed to mean? Yahweh and Michael yelled at the same time. Nothing, Issei said innocently. So, is Gabriel covering for your work in sixth heaven right now? Yes, she usually covers for me when I have to come down. She doesn't get as much paperwork since she's heaven's usual messenger. Why do you? Issei. Michael. Dinner's ready. Mickey shouted. Thank you very much, Mickey. We'll be down in a moment. Michael called back. He turned back to Issei. That's Issei? Where'd you go? Issei walked up towards the gates of heaven. Halt. Identify yourself. Hey, Peter. Long time no see. Issei Hayadu, Lord Michael's Jack. You may enter. Good day to you, Lord Hayada. I said not to call me Lord. Issei groaned, walking through the gates. Issei walked along the path of first heaven towards the elevator. He could have just teleported, but taking the elevator was relaxing, so he preferred doing it whenever possible. After reaching the 6th level, the elevator stopped and let him out, allowing Issei to walk towards the path to Michael's office. After a few minutes, he reached the door and knocked. Knock knock. You may enter. A feminine voice called from inside. Issei opened the door and was instantly stunned in shock. Her title of most beautiful woman in heaven didn't do her any justice. Not meeting Gabriel before now would continue to be his greatest mistake in life for as long as he should live. Even though she was sitting down, Issei could tell she was rather short. She had long blonde hair and a pair of innocent-looking green eyes, an eternal smile on her face. Hello? Who might you be? Wow, he breathed out. Beautiful. Gabriel giggled, probably used to it at this point. Thank you very much, dear. You're pretty cute yourself. Are you looking for Michael? That's my daughter, you know. I'm giving you 100 sin points for even having the opportunity to think lecherous things about her. Yahweh complained. No Michael elsewhere. Wow. Wake up. H. Issei shouted, shaking himself out of his stupor and taking a knee. I'm so sorry. Forgive me, Lady Gabriel. I never intended, I just didn't. I'm sorry. Gabriel giggled more. You're a curious one. I like you already? Now, mind giving me your name? Of course. My name is Issei Hayadu. Michael said you wanted to meet his Jack, so I came over to see you. Oh, really? Well, let's go then. Where is he? Gabriel stood. My lady? Yes? That would be me. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. Gabriel flushed. He never gave me your name. You can get up, you may rise. Thank you, Lady Gabriel. Issei stood. He stopped by to tell me about a few less than pleasant things, and he also mentioned that you'd wanted to meet me. Yes. I did. I'm Gabriel, Michael's sister, and one of the 4 great seraphim, she introduced. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. I can't believe Michael's been hiding someone like you for so long. That's the most adorable thing I've ever seen. Issei thought to himself as Gabriel pouted. Watch it, brat, Yahweh warned. Ahem, yes, well, that's partially my fault, Issei admitted. You see, considering you're now too much of a stuttering and embarrassed mess to come up with a convincing lie, I might as well greet my daughter, Yahweh said aloud. Hello, Gabriel. It's been a long time. That sounds like Gabriel gasped. You're your father? Why did all 3 of you have that same reaction? No, if I was coming back, I would take a much more appealing form. And I certainly wouldn't have my brain break down by looking at my daughter. Issei, she shut up. Issei stumbled out. She's known as the most beautiful woman in heaven. Not if you look at her your brain will melt because of how perfect she is. You just said that out loud, you know God sighed. Half of Gabriel processed what Issei had said, so her body reacted in an atomic blush, but the other half was still registering her father's voice. I'll explain, my dear daughter. I'm currently inside the boy. I sealed myself in the Longinus as well. I've just never been awakened before. So, Yoshi whispered, approaching Issei slowly before latching onto him and bawling. Father! You're back. I missed you so much. I was so sure you weren't dead. I always knew it. Michael kept saying that you were gone, Raphael and Uriel too. I wouldn't believe them. I always knew you'd come back. Father, now dear. It'll be fine, Yahweh reassured. Host. Comfort my daughter. Did you just call me host? Issei yelled back. Fine. All right, Lady Gabriel. Everything's going to be just fine. Why don't we have a seat? Okay, Father, she muttered, nodding in Issei's chest, who led her over to the couch, and the two sat down. Well, I did not see that coming. She's always been very emotional. Now you see why Michael wanted to wait, kind of? But at the same time, no. I should have told her earlier. She's thought you were dead for millennia, and I could have spared her 9 years of heartbreak. I was too concerned for my own safety. Soon, we're coming clean to all of heaven. If that's what you wish for, you really are too kind for your own good. Listen, Lady Gabriel? I'm really sorry. I've known about Yahweh for 9 years, and I've been working with Michael for 4. We decided to keep it a secret so I would be ready. I should have thought about how everyone else would feel. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for bringing Father back to me. I really didn't do anything, he answered sheepishly. I mean, he chose me. I'm just his host. I hate to admit this, but you're more than just a host, brat. You're becoming a fine successor, and I look forward to seeing you run my system someday. That means a lot to me. Thanks, Uncle Yahweh. Gabriel started to giggle. Then she started to laugh. Harder and harder she laughed for over a minute straight before starting to calm down. What is it? It's just really funny, she sighed, wiping the tears from her eyes. You called Father Uncle Yahweh. I can't remember the last time anyone called him anything aside from a title. Well, I was only 8 when we met, he admitted. But it just kinda stuck. Well, if you're on such good terms with my father, you can just call me Gabriel. Are you sure, my lad? Issei was cut off by her finger over his lips. Gabrielle. Not Lady Gabriel, or my lady. Gabriel. Got it? Issei nodded. Good. God made several grumbling noises of displeasure in Issei's mind. What is it? My daughter, you're too close to my baby girl, and I don't like it this time. Issei started to laugh. What are you laughing at, Issei? Gabriel asked. Yaoi's complaining that I'm too close to you. Issei chuckled, causing Gabriel to realize she was still half on top of him. Eep. She squeaked, once again breaking Issei's mind in cuteness overload. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. You broke him again, Yaoi sighed, causing Gabriel to let out another giggle. Well, thank you for introducing yourself, Issei, Gabriel said, regaining her composure. Come visit me lots, okay? Of course, Gabriel, Issei corrected. Much better, she smiled. Gabriel stopped him before he could leave. One more thing, Issei. Yes, what is Issei was cut off by Gabriel giving him a kiss on the cheek. Thanks for bringing father back home. You still there, Gabriel? Yes, father, what is it? He's totally stopped all mental functions. Hold on. I'll get the AED ready. Yaoi yelled. Alright, now clear, Gabriel giggled. Are you always like this now, father? I've been around Issei for 9 years now. I picked up a few things, Yaoi shrugged. Before Issei comes back around, I have one more thing to tell you. What is it, father? I approve. Father! Gabriel whined, blushing aggressively. We just met, I know, and you'd better hurry or be willing to share. My host is very popular among women. Oh, he's coming back to us. Gabriel thank you, Issei stuttered out. Good work, Issei. You almost managed to say a full sentence properly around my daughter. Hey! I'm fully capable of speaking full sentences. Issei yelled back. Anyway, goodbye, Gabriel. Bye-bye, Issei. She waved, smiling brightly. Thank you. The rest of the week was fairly uneventful for Issei, is what Issei would have preferred to be the case, though, unfortunately, it wasn't. Friday afternoon after school, Michael returned to his residence with more less than fortunate news. Flashback. Ding dong. Issei, are you expecting anyone? Mickey called to her son, walking to the door. No! Issei yelled back. The Hayadu matriarch opened the door to reveal Michael standing there with a look of tension. Hello, Mrs. Hayadu. May I see Issei? It's rather urgent. Of course, Michael. And please, I keep telling you to call me Mickey. We've known each other for years now. Of course, my apologies, he nodded, entering the house. He's upstairs, I presume? In his room, yes, she nodded. Knock first. Unfortunately for Michael, that last part didn't quite register for him as he quickly headed upstairs and opened his door. Issei, this isn't. What are you doing? Nothing. Issei quickly hid the materials that covered his desk. What are you doing here? Also, why didn't you think to tell me that devils own this territory? That's kind of important for maintaining peace. I knew I forgot some. Don't change the subject. Michael shook his head. Move. No, wait. Issei protested but was shoved over by the hurried Michael to reveal his desk, which was covered in every document, book, passage, and article ever written about Gabriel. I can explain. Is father all right with this? He asked, eyeing him suspiciously. He's asleep. Of course he is. I don't really have time to deal with your obsession with my sister, nor do I have time to yell at you for going to see her without telling me. Put all of this away and wake up, father. This is important. Right. Issei nodded, quickly recognizing his serious tone. Issei put away all his definitely not Yandere-esque research and shook Yaoi up. Well, mentally shook him awake. More accurately, permanently scarred him forever. Uncle Yaoi, quick! Someone is trying to do lewd things to Gabriel. They're trying to do what? Yaoi roared from within Issei. Get ready, Issei. We're going beyond balance. Why are we in your room? Sorry, Michael said it was an emergency and I knew nothing could get you in a serious mood quicker than her safety. That was cold, brat, don't do that again. Alright, you two, stop arguing and listen up, Michael insisted. 2 more Excalibur fragments were reported missing, Nightmare and Transparency. We also have more concrete information. This right here is why I said give the sword to exorcists. Issei shouted. Alright, continue. Sorry, as I was saying, we have more concrete information on who took them as well. It was a fallen angel, though we don't know which one exactly. What we do know is that he's heading here with them. Tuku. Okay, calm down. Issei, Archangel Michael did not just tell you that a fallen angel is coming to your town with 3 stolen fragments of Excalibur to possibly create everlasting damage to the entire world. Actually, I'm aware. He yelled. Okay, I need to think about this rationally. Start from the beginning. What is it exactly that led you to the conclusion that, not only was it a fallen angel in all 3 incidents, but that they're coming here with them? Well, first off, there were multiple eyewitnesses in the latest theft of Transparency, Michael started. Oh, the irony. Yaoi chuckled. This is really not the time, Issei groaned. So that confirms it as a fallen angel. Just one? Issei asked, getting a nod in response. Alright, and we don't know exactly who it was, but I think I can narrow it down. Give me a minute. Well, I suppose I was wrong. Looks like there really was a reason for keeping that old thing, Yaoi mused. What exactly is he looking for? Michael asked. Just an old list of all high-ranking members of the Angels and the Fallen Angels. Where did he? I showed him some of my stuff, Yaoi shrugged. What? Don't look at him like that. Of course I kept records. I was God, after all, and you never thought to tell me about that? Wait, is that thing even up to date? In my defense, I did die, and of course it is. Do you think I had time to keep track of everyone by hand? No, it's connected to my system. Every time one of them disappears from the system, their name is crossed out. Every time an angel falls, it switches to the fallen category. From there, they are listed alphabetically by wing count. That seems really convenient, Michael said, still rather surprised. Once again, I was God. How do you think I was so good at my job? Magic is a really useful tool, Michael. You should use it more often. Michael actually looked a bit embarrassed by that, but Issei finally found what he was looking for. Here it is. So, how exactly is this going to help? Well, Issei began, opening the book to the fallen angel section. I need you to give me every detail possible about the fallen angel. Nothing would help more than a wing count, but physical description, personality description, or style of attack could help a little bit. Right. He was confirmed to have 5 pairs of wings, but that's all the report said. It gave no other physical descriptions at all. That's why we're not sure. That could be any of the cadre, Michael sighed. Not necessarily, Issei shook his head, flipping to the 5-winged section. Remember, we have Yahweh here. Now there are 10 listed as 5-winged fallen angels here and too many crossed out than I'd bother to count. Though being crossed out, they're assumed to be deceased and thus not suspects. In order alphabetically, the list is Amaros, Barakiel, Harit, Moloch, Kokabil, Penemu, Sahariel, Sadanel, Shemhazai, and Tamiel. Firstly, Michael, are there any names here you do not recognize? Well, I guess Harit and Moloch? Michael answered. I mean, I know them, but they aren't part of the Grigori. Good. We can take those away. Issei, don't you think you're jumping to conclusions a bit too fast? Wouldn't them not being aligned with the Grigori make them more suspicious? Yahweh asked. No, you're thinking too small. While yes, it is theoretically possible that one of those two stole the pieces of Excalibur of their own volition, we need to think rationally and following a train of logic that would be reasonable. Someone has to go out of their way to steal one Excalibur. They are in high-level seals and relatively well guarded. It's not necessarily the easiest thing in the world to take one, and it certainly comes with risk. This person took 3 of them. Tell me, who is capable of wielding 3 swords at once? Pretty much no one except that one guy from Naruto. That comes to suggest that there is an ulterior motive than what we initially suspected, which was a thief looking for fame, glory, and/or power. I'm following, Michael nodded. Good. Now, we know that someone not aligned with the Grigori is unlikely to be accepted by another faction, therefore if it were one of those two, they would be aligned with a terrorist group, because, as we've established, it's exceedingly unlikely that this was done by someone working on their own. That could mean that they are part of a terrorist group, but they tend to move differently. When groups like that make their moves, you either never know about it, or everyone knows about it. Getting seen and leaving evidence like that isn't like a terrorist group that would be strong enough to house a 5-winged fallen angel with a plan that involved the Excalibur fragments. If a terrorist group was capable of something like this, they'd make a massive show of it so everyone knew it was them, not some tiny hint like this. Now, that leaves us with 8 members. All of these are aligned with the Grigori? Yes, they're all part of the cadre, which is the governing body of the fallen angels, sort of like the 4 great seraphim of heaven, Michael explained. Now, we simply go down the list of who we know is likely or unlikely to be able to pull something like this off. As we know, Azazel is a peace advocate, therefore, it is likely that his second-in-command is as well. No leader chooses a right hand that disagrees with their main goal. They choose one who is either an echo chamber, in the case of a foolish leader, or one who has the same goal with different ways of going about it. Michael, who is second-in-command of the fallen angels. Azazel is the governor-general, seconded by Shemhazai, the vice-governor-general. After that, it would be Barakiel, I believe. So, that leaves us with 7 names left: Amaros, Barakiel, Kokabil, Penemu, Sahariel, Sadanel, and Tamiel. Going down the list, what do you know about Amaros? Either of you, Yahweh or Michael. He was a big fan of Azazel. Practically worshipped the ground he walked on, more so than me, Yahweh said. Perfect. Azazel wants no business in conflict. The Grigori stealing Excalibur would undoubtedly start another great war, so it's reasonable to say Amaros is off the list. Barakiel. He lost his wife and daughter around 10 years ago if my memory serves correctly. Since then, he's been distant from what Azazel told me. You're in contact with Azazel? Issei asked. Why didn't you say that earlier? Not really, no. We do speak occasionally, we are siblings after all, but in regards to our factions, it's rare. Idiots, Issei mumbled. Alright. Just to clarify before I move on, was it or was it not the angels that killed Barakiel's family? Whether by your order or not, is there some possible connection between that incident and the faction of heaven? None. Thank God, Issei sighed, mentally crossing off Barakiel's name as well. Kokabil next. You nothing good to say about that guy. He loved war. Always laughing on the battlefield, hungering for stronger opponents. The guy was insane. Once again, something you should have said earlier. Okay, as of now, he's our main suspect. Next is Penemu. The three continued going down the list until all suspects had been exhausted of all information. So, as of now, we have suspicions of Kokabeel and Satinel. Kokabeel has a motive, being that he loves conflict, and nothing says conflict like a war. He has the attitude, and he has the ability to get followers. Satinel we simply have no way to clear suspicion of. I think it's obviously Kokabeel. That's great and all, but that doesn't necessarily help us solve the issue, Michael pointed out. I'm not done yet. Now we know who did it, we reason out why he did it. This is simply a matter of using logical reasoning and risk versus reward analysis to come up with hypotheses on his reasoning, and we pick from those which is the most likely and proceed based on that, so long as it wouldn't negatively impact any of our other theories in case one of those happened to be correct. Now think. A fallen angel cadre steals 3 fragments of Excalibur from the church. Why? Issei closes his eyes and thinks for several minutes. I think this is lining up nicely. Before I finish that thought though, how do you know Kokabeel, or I suppose I should say our suspect, is going to Ko? We were able to track his destination with the swords to Japan. Japan is largely a devil-owned area, so we used every available resource to locate any other fallen angels in the region, and the only signatures we were able to get were found here. That's surprisingly good deductive reasoning. If he told you or dropped a note, we might have to rethink this whole thing, but I'd say I've got a pretty good theory. It's not necessarily a good thing, but I think it's accurate. Well? Are you going to tell us, or are you going to leave us in suspense while you go to a commercial break like those anime you watch? I'm touched that you paid attention for once, Issei said sarcastically. But no. Alright. Remember, this is all just conjecture made off probability, logical reasoning, and assumptions made from not necessarily reliable sources. That doesn't sound reassuring, Michael pointed out, sounding relatively worried. It doesn't need to. I think you'll agree with me. Anyway, here it is. Kokabeel is a combat-loving warmonger. He wants and craves conflict, right? So, it stands to reason that he and Azazel do not get along. Since Shemhazai is in agreement with Azazel, Kokabeel is now stuck in peace. Since he cannot convince the leadership to go back to war, he need to wait for one of the other factions to initiate the conflict. That hasn't happened yet, so now it's up to him to reignite the war. He steals the Excalibur fragments, powerful weapons revered by the church. What does he want to do with them? He wants it known that the fallen angels stole them, so he hinted that it was them by making himself seen. This makes the angel faction aggressive towards the fallen angel faction. It was a member of the cadre, so us believing that it wasn't done under the leadership's knowledge isn't something we'd necessarily be willing to accept and move on with. It would be different if a low or mid-class fallen angel stole 1 fragment seeking glory, but no. This is a cadre stealing 3. Kokabeel knows we couldn't overlook that, so we now be forced into conflict with the fallen angels. With that conflict set up, he takes the swords to Ko. A known devil territory, thanks for telling me that by the way, and home to Rias Gremory and Sona Citri. 2 pure-blooded heiresses of surviving pillar families. What next? He kills them with the holy swords. Murdering the 2 devil heiresses in devil territory will enrage the devils, forcing them to retaliate against the fallen angels, but not just them, they would also retaliate against us. We failed to protect such powerful weapons, ergo, whether we committed the murders or not, we were indirectly responsible. Holy weapons of that caliber are extremely effective at killing devils. Now the devils and the angels are angry at the fallen angels are forced into combat with the attacking parties, and the angels are defending themselves against the devils while attacking the fallen angels, which reignites the 3-way war and frees Kokabeel from punishment, as Azazel will be unable to get rid of one of his strongest warriors in a time of war. You know, sometimes I think you're secretly a genius and just act dumb all the time, Michael chuckled. I can get behind your theory in full. What you might not have known is that Serzex Lucifer is Rias Gremory's brother, and is known for being overprotective of her. Seraphal Leviathan is Sona Citri's sister, and is even more protective. Them dying would set those 2 on a rampage that would leave this world in ruin. 2 of the 4 demon lords are Sis Khans? Issei deadpanned. You have got to be kidding me. No, Michael shook his head. I disappear for a few thousand years and this whole world falls apart, Yahweh grumbled. Now comes the next question. What do we do about this? Issei asked. Can't you? No, Issei. Fighting Kokabeel is just as dangerous. A seraphim fighting a cadre on devil territory is just as likely, if not more likely, to start a war. This is an extremely delicate situation. I'll go back and run your theory by Lord Regel and the rest of the seraphim and get back to you by Sunday. You'd better hurry. I have a bad feeling about all this. Thank you so much for all your help. Just don't forget, Issei said before he left. Once this is all over, I'm making myself known to heaven. I understand, Michael nodded, before teleporting out. What kind of a mess have we gotten into now? Issei groaned. Flashback end. It was now Saturday afternoon, and Issei was preparing to leave for his date with Yuma. Are you sure you want to go through with this? Yahweh questioned. Absolutely. Besides, even if I wasn't sure, it's too late now. Me not showing up would just give her more of a reason to hurt me. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. I know. You really are obsessed with that guy. You're the one who told me to study great leaders. He's my personal favorite. The master of all things war is the favorite leader of peace-loving Issei Hayate? I'm aware of the irony. Issei finished dressing and prepared to set off. Off to your date, honey? Mickey asked him. Yep, he nodded. Okay, just be careful, okay? And make absolutely sure you stay safe and come back home. Call us when you're on your way back and don't be too late. Make sure you use protection if the two of you. MOM. Issei shouted, blushing. I'll be fine. Please stop. I might need to get a calculator for all these sin points you're racking up running out of room in here. You be quiet. Make sure she's a keeper, Issei. Don't start on those grandchildren too soon, got it? Goro added, ruffling his son's hair. Now go make your dad proud and spread the family name. You are both so inappropriate, Issei groaned. I'm leaving now. Goodbye. Bye, Issei. They both waved as he left. Ah, young love, Mickey sighed. Issei and Yuma planned to meet downtown near the shopping area for their date, and Issei had just arrived at the corner. Good, right on time, Issei thought to himself. He stood there for a few minutes just casually waiting for her arrival when someone carrying flyers came up to him. She was a fairly tall woman with a bat-like outfit and lots of makeup. Make your wish come true, she said, handing him a flyer. Issei inspected the flyer, which held a magic circle and the text make a contract with the devil and make your wish come true. On the back was a series of instructions on how to use the contract, the accepted payments, and some rules and regulations for the wishes, such as no wishing for sexual favors, harming innocents, etc. I'll have to ask Rias about this, Issei thought to himself as he put the flyer in his pocket. Issei, called a feminine voice running up to him. Issei. I'm here. There you are, Yuma. I was beginning to think you didn't want to see me, he teased. Of course I did. She blushed slightly. You haven't been waiting too long, have you? Not long at all, just a few minutes, he replied, holding out his hand. What are you waiting for? Let's go, okay. She smiled, taking his hand and laughing as he pulled her along with him. Where are we going? Well, what better first date than going shopping? You get to get a bunch of stuff, I get to pay for it for some reason. And we can talk, Issei grinned, pulling her so she was next to him and keeping pace. Where do you want to go first? Oh, I really don't know. How about over there? She suggested, gesturing to a clothing store. Sounds good to me. Issei smiled and held her hand as the two walked towards the store. The two chatted amicably while they walked over and, as it turned out, Yuma was quite the fan of fashion. Her eyes lit up the whole time she was picking out clothes while Issei chuckled at her excitement. She put on a mini fashion show for him, with Issei pretending to be the paparazzi and snapping photos with an imaginary camera while she posed in various outfits. Yuma tried to insist she pay for everything, but while she was changing into her normal clothes from her final outfit, which she decided she wasn't a fan of, Issei quickly ran over towards the cashier with the key pile and purchased the stuff. Issei. Yuma whined when she finally caught up with him just as he was finishing up buying all the clothes. I told you I was going to pay for everything, did you? I don't remember you saying that, Issei said, pretending to be confused. I'm serious. I wanted to buy those. She complained, but her smile gave her away. I suppose you can pay for them, Issei mused, thanking the cashier and walking out with the bag. Or, we could go get something to eat while I tried to change the subject. As long as you let me. Of course, I'll have to buy lunch too, Issei reasoned. It's only natural, after all. I'm just a lowly peasant attempting to court such a lovely angel. There's no way he could know, Yuma thought, panicking slightly. Why would he go with me if he knew? It has to be a coincidence, all a coincidence. I just have to finish him off and then I'll be safe from him. I think you're going too far with the hints. She's second-guessing herself, Yahweh noted. Yeah, you're probably right, Issei admitted. Well, come on. You picked the store, so do you want to pick the restaurant or should I? Huh. Oh, right. Well, I picked first, so I guess you can pick next, Yuma replied. Alright, let's go. He grinned and grabbed her hand again. They spent the rest of the day having fun at various stores and other entertainment areas. Yuma even teased Issei by offering to go into a lingerie shop, which temporarily broke his brain, much to her amusement. By the end of the day, Yuma requested to go to the park, which Issei was all too happy to oblige. Issei had enjoyed his time immensely with Yuma, loving every second he spent with the girl and, much to her chagrin, Yuma loved it too. I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, Yuma told herself repeatedly, mentally preparing for what she knew she had to do. Hey Yuma? Issei said, can you do something for me? I can do, wait, that's my line. Yuma thought. What is it, Issei? Sit down and close your eyes, he told her, patting the edge of the fountain that was in the middle of the park. She looked at him hesitantly for a moment before doing as he asked. Issei reached into his pocket and pulled out a box with a necklace he'd gotten while Yuma had gone to the restroom. He covered it up by saying he forgot something in a different store and that he'd meet up with her later, but was actually buying her a gift. It was a silver chain necklace with the center ornament that was a small heart with 2 angel wings coming off of it. As soon as Issei saw it, he knew that Yuma needed to have it. Alright, open. What did she gasp as she looked and saw the necklace that he held in his hand. Issei, can I put it on you? She didn't reply, just nodded, still in shock at the gift. There. It looks beautiful, Yuma. She looked down at it as Issei sat next to her and looked out at the night sky. I can do this. I can do this. I can't do this. I can't do this, Yuma, Issei said softly, pulling her into his arms. You don't even realize, do you? You're crying. I'm crying, she thought in shock, as she reached to touch her face. Sure enough, tears were running down her cheeks, soaking her face. Yuma, what happened to you? He asked softly as she buried herself into his chest and sobbed. You don't have to hide from me, you know. I've known the whole time. You're a fallen angel. Yuma is your old name from before you fell, isn't it? She pulled back in a mixture of shock and fear. How could he? Sure, it'll be okay, Yuma, he insisted, pulling her back towards him. I know that, whatever it is you're trying to convince yourself you can do, that you don't want to. You brought me here tonight to kill me, didn't you? Yuma's heart stopped for a second. She was terrified. Issei, she's scared. Poor thing is frightened beyond her wits, Yahweh spoke sadly. I'm not going anywhere and I'm not going to hurt you, Issei spoke confidently. And no one is going to hurt NY Yuma. She blushed fiercely but calmed down slightly as she continued to cry. You sound like a dragon, Yahweh deadpan. Could you tell me what happened, Yuma? There's a lot I know and I get the feeling that you want no part of it. I'm really worried for you, but I can't help you if you won't talk to me, okay? He spoke quietly, stroking her back as he did so. Do you think you can tell me? Yes, Yuma sniffed as she sat back up. It's all true, I was told to kill you. I used to be an angel, but a long time ago, I always admired Azazel as an angel, so when he and the rest of the Grigori fell I didn't really know what to do. I wanted to go with him, but I didn't want to fall. I wanted to stay in heaven with everyone else. One day, I went to visit him and another fallen tried to take me to capture me and use me as a toy, so I killed him. His lover came in and found me over him covered in blood and I panicked and killed her too afraid of what she would do. It was a needless kill for nothing other than my fear, so I fell. Azazel took me and after I told him that I chose to fall to follow him and I never told anyone about what I did. Yuma, he whispered, grabbing her in an even tighter hug. I'm so sorry, I wish you never had to talk about that again. Before you ask, I couldn't forgive her. Not because her actions weren't forgivable, but because to return an angel to grace is a long process initiated by the fallen one. The war started before she got the chance, if she would have taken it anyway. Yuma is a victim of fear and circumstance. I may not have your detective brain, but I'd be willing to bet that Kokabeel, or whoever the mastermind is blackmailing her with information about her killing those two and she's too afraid of what others will think if they find out. Besides, any cadre member could kill her easily, high class or not. I know it's idealistic to expect such a thing, but I'm different than you. I will be idealistic because Yuma deserves forgiveness, and I will give it to her. No matter what it takes. Yuma? Do you trust me? What? She asked, looking up at him. Do you trust me? He repeated, taking one of her hands in his. I can help you. I just need you to trust me. She hesitated. She hadn't trusted anyone in all this time, but by now, what did she have to lose? If he was lying to her, she'd be killed. If she went back to Kokabeel, she'd be killed there too. She was beyond lost. She was. Yuma. There's always time before you've fallen too far. I do, she said softly. I do trust you. Heavenly Crown, he spoke in a regal tone, releasing his 5 pairs of shimmering golden wings and his blinding crown that replaced his usual halo, filling the park with holy light as he reinforced the barrier he'd activated while she had her eyes closed. What? What are you doing? She started to panic but was instantly calmed when Issei pressed his forehead against hers. Sure, everything's fine. Just trust me, okay? No matter what, I won't ever hurt you, Issei said, somehow making her feel safer than she'd ever felt before. Balance breaker, Sherry Toothiu. Balance breaker, hand of God. An immense holy aura washed over her as Issei shone even brighter than he already was, as his outfit was replaced with one similar to Archangel Michael's. He had gold, armored shoulder plates and holy robes. His shimmering golden wings surrounded her, keeping the two of them in a cocoon of feathers and holy energy. His eyes seemed to glow with soft light, lulling her into a sense of peace and safety. As if, as long as she stayed here, with him, nothing could ever go wrong. Nothing would ever hurt her again. Well, this is interesting, God mused. I am the Lord thy God, who brought about the rule and righteousness so that the strong should not harm the weak. Issei began to chant as the holy aura started to condense around them. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. By my name as thy Lord and Holy Father of Heaven, you, Yuma Amano, are forgiven. A speechless Yuma Amano watched as her wings were forced out of her body and the holy aura flooding out from Issei entered her wings, slowly cleansing the black feathers and turning them a feathery, pillowed white. A small white halo began to shine above her head and glowed with holy light. Her plumage began to shimmer in the moonlight as Issei smiled at her. Soon after, though, the power started to overwhelm her. She started to feel dizzy and her body started to ache as if there was a war going on in her soul. Soon after, she collapsed on the ground, her tired body unable to take the foreign sensations any longer. Yuma? Yuma? Issei panicked, dropping his sacred gear and shaking her, trying to wake her up. What happened? Her pulses slowing down. Yahweh! Help me, I told you, Issei. Forgiving an angel isn't that simple. You managed to bypass the system, which is more than a little impressive, but you couldn't fully control it, and once you lost control, the system is trying to fight your aura within her body. No, I can't do the deck. I can use the deck. Issei remembered, reaching into his magic space and pulling out a box filled with 13 extraordinarily powerful playing cards. You're not allowed to do that, Issei, Yahweh warned. I don't care. He shot back, pulling out a card. This is my fault. I was impatient, foolish, overly emotional, and naive. I know that. Just please let me fix this, child, he sighed. You are all of those things, but above all, you possess the kindest and gentlest soul I have ever seen. All you do is done for the sake of others, all you preach is what you follow, and all you believe is right. Even if I didn't approve of this, I can't stop you, but I do. Go on, Issei. Save the girl. She's earned it. Thank you, he whispered, tears pooling in his eyes. He removed one of the cards and placed it over her chest. Ah, Issei Hayadu, invoke the grace of the Lord, to invite thee among the ranks of heaven. Join in singing his praises and guard the land in which he made. Become a guardian of heaven and serve me as my 10, the 10 of crowns. The card began to glow white before sinking into Yuma's chest and causing her body to glow briefly, a tattoo on the back of her hand appearing briefly, showing the number 10 above a shimmering white crown. Her breathing began to return to normal as she slowly but surely opened her eyes and the tattoo vanished from her skin. Good job, Issei. I'm proud of you. Today you've learned the lesson many fail to ever learn. A good man makes mistakes. A great man makes mistakes and fixes them. That is something that will never change in the never-ending expanse of time itself, Yahweh praised. Issei? Yuma whispered, looking up at Issei who sat next to her prone figure tightly holding her hand. What happened? What should have happened long ago? Yuma, what should have happened long ago? He answered, leaning down and kissing her forehead lightly. Before you fall asleep, who is it that sent you after me? Kokokabeel, she got out as her eyes began to drift closed again. I thought as much, he grimaced. Don't worry, Yuma. I'll take care of everything. You're safe now. As long as I can do something about it, no one will hurt my Yuma ever again. Issei, she whispered before succumbing to exhaustion. Now, Issei said, lifting her like the delicate angel she was. Let's get you home. Where exactly do you plan on taking her? Where do you think? My place, of course. I look forward to you explaining to your parents why you're bringing your unconscious girlfriend back to your house. Yahweh grinned. Whose mind is full of lust now, huh? It was certainly an interesting conversation to say the least. Issei got home to a panicking mother from how late he arrived, who panicked even more seeing the unconscious girl in his arms. His father gave him a thumbs up, which embarrassed Issei to no end and got Yahweh laughing uproariously, while his mother grilled him for every detail on exactly what he did to this poor girl. He managed to convince her not to press into Yuma's personal life story too much, but, after explaining what he did, his mother hit him over the head and then hugged him, saying that even though he was an idiot, that she was extremely proud of him. Beep. Beep. Ezra 10 verse 4. Beep. Beep. Arise, for it is your task, and we are with you. Be strong and do it. Beep beep. Yuma awoke confused. As she opened her eyes, she realized that her surroundings weren't familiar, and there was a weird alarm clock that she felt some sort of strange personal hatred for. Quickly destroying it with a light spear, satisfied that at least one issue had been resolved, she set out to figure out where she was and how she had gotten there, as well as why she felt so different. Come to think of it, why was she in this form? Normally, her fallen angel form would come back whenever she was asleep. Knock knock. A soft knock came on the door outside. Yuma? Are you awake? I'm coming in, okay? My eyes are closed, Issei said as he entered his own room with his eyes closed. Issei? She asked, confused. What was he doing here? Are you dressed? He asked. Yes, she blushed. We didn't do anything, did we? Don't tell me Kelowna rubbed off on me that much. How are you doing? He asked, sitting beside her and taking her hand in his, rubbing it softly. Where am I? And what am I doing here? She asked him, tried to remember. Think about last night, he told her, holding her hand firmly. Last night they had their date. It was a lot of fun, she remembered. They spent the whole day out together, and Issei paid for everything no matter how she tried to trick him or distract him to let her pay for something. Afterward, she took him to the park near the fountain so she could kill him. The thought alone made her want to be sick. Then he gave her that necklace. Issei noticed as she reached absently for her chest as if searching for something. I hope I didn't lose it, she thought. What happened after that? Her eyes widened as she started to remember. He told her he always knew she was a fallen angel. That he knew it was her mission to bring him there and kill him. And he said he didn't care. That she was a good person and that he would protect her. She remembered telling him her story. How she fell from grace in fear and shame, and then he did something that she couldn't begin to fathom, and her wings grew white, and then nothing. I take it you remember now? Issei asked her, smiling. Whoa! Slow down. Yuma had launched herself at him, burying herself in his embrace as he hugged her protectively, chuckling slightly. I don't know what you did or how you did it, but thank you. Of course, Yuma, he replied quietly, pulling back slightly. He reached into his pocket and pulled the necklace back out, putting it back around her neck and gently pressing the ornament to her chest. There. I think you were looking for that, weren't you, Yuma? Did you destroy my alarm clock? Her face grew to levels of red never before experienced as she tried to apologize. I did, but I didn't mean. I swear it was an accident. I'm really sorry, Issei. I really am. You really are an angel, he exclaimed, picking her up and squeezing her. Finally. I hated that alarm clock so much, but I couldn't get rid of it because of a stupid bet. You're the best, Issei, she squeaked out. P put me down. Oh, yeah? Sorry, he chuckled, setting her back on the bed and scratching his head awkwardly. I just really hated that clock. I'll just make another bet with you so you have to get another one, Yaoi shrugged. Mark my words, Issei, you will have my alarm clock. Who was that? Yuma asked. There's a lot to explain, Issei chuckled sheepishly. And quite a bit I have to apologize for, so let's go have breakfast so I can feed you before you try to kill me again. This was his worst idea yet. A terrible idea. Why did he do this again? He had no idea, he just knew that he shouldn't have done it. His mind had betrayed him. What was the point in continuing if his brain would give him ideas like this? Why oh why did he bring Yuma downstairs? So, this is the girl, his father asked. She's definitely a cute one. I'd say she's a keeper. Dad. Issei groaned while Yuma just turned red in embarrassment. Now, dear, scolded Mickey. I'm sure Yuma is very nervous right now. I mean, she's meeting her true love's parents after spending the night in his bed. It's understandable that she'd be a little uncomfortable. Don't worry, Yuma dear, neither of you are helping at all, Issei complained as Yuma tried to stay slightly behind him to hide her bright red face. Yuma is just very confused right now. Could you two please go upstairs so I can talk to her? Now, just because you're going to be in charge of heaven soon doesn't mean you're in charge of us, Mickey chastised. He's what? Yuma thought to herself. We'll go upstairs when Michael gets here. For now, I want to get to know my future daughter-in-law. We just met this week. And she only asked me out so she could kill me, Issei defended. She did what now? His mother asked. Did I forget to mention that part? He chuckled awkwardly. I know you have moral standards, but you may want to cast one of those memory adjustment spells if you want to live, Issei, Yaoi suggested. Ding dong. Looks like you two have to go upstairs. That's Michael. Bye. Issei told them, pushing the two towards the stairs. Off you go. Chop chop. We're not done talking about this, Issei, Mickey scolded. We'll be back. That's what they all say, he mumbled to himself, quickly heading to the door. Morning, Michael. You have news for me? Good morning to you as well, Issei. May I come in? Michael smiled. I hope that smile means something good. Sure, come on in, he gestured. Thank you, Issei. I wouldn't say necessarily something good per se, Moravo. Who's this? Michael asked. Michael? Yes, father. When was the last time you checked the system? I believe it was yesterday evening before dinner. I had paperwork to do so I could come to meet with Issei this morning. Why do you ask? You're in the clear, Issei. Quick, come up with something convincing while I distract him. You realize you just said that out loud, right? Issei deadpanned. Alright, Michael, this is Yuma. Yuma, this is Archangel Michael. Before either of you flip out, I'd like us all to sit down at the table. Sound good? Good. Yuma followed his lead, which was him forcibly shoving the two of them into the dining room and into seats while opening and closing her mouth trying to understand why it was that the Archangel Michael, the second in command of heaven, was currently here and talking with Issei as if they were good friends. Alright, Yuma, I'm sure you probably remember Michael, though Michael may not remember Yuma. I'll try to explain. Come on, Michael. You remember Yuma. She was the one that always followed Azazel around, remember? She was so little then. Look how she's grown. Yaoi spoke with pride. That sounds familiar, though I can't say I remember her. I'm truly sorry, I'm not as good as father is with names, Michael apologized. Father? Yuma asked. Alright, first why don't I explain who, or I guess what I am, to you, Yuma. Pay attention, okay? And don't freak out. Ready? Good. Alright. So, you are aware of the system of sacred gears and Longinus. There are 13 known Longinus, however, there are 15 Longinus that God actually made. I'm currently the wielder of one of the two undiscovered ones. Are you following? Yuma nodded. Good. Alright, so the sacred gear I possess is known as Heavenly Crown. You've heard of the boosted gear and divine dividing, I'm sure? This is rather similar to those, however. Instead of hosting the soul of one of the two heavenly dragons, mine hosts the soul of the god from the Bible. Yuma's mouth opened in shock. So you and soul god, father, she sputtered out. It's been a long time, Yuma, Yaoi greeted. Don't worry, Issei's a great host. Looks like someone's getting soft on me, Issei teased. Quiet, brat. Okay, you with me so far, Yuma? She nodded. Good. So, Michael, on Monday Yuma invited me out for a date. We went yesterday, and I figured out from our recent discussion as well as her general actions throughout the day that the reason she invited me was to either kill me or capture me to get rid of any unknown variables in town for when Kokobile came by. She was rather upset towards the end, to put it lightly, so I took a guess that it was the former, and it turns out I was right. So, Yuma is a fallen angel whose initial goal was to take you out of the equation for Kokobile's attack? Michael asked as Issei nodded and Yuma looked down in shame. Now or I guess you'd figure it out eventually, Issei chuckled sheepishly. I kinda sorta got her story of how she fell, and I might have used my balance breaker to bypass God's system, and I kinda forcibly forgave her. Michael stared at him for the longest 30 seconds of Issei's life in what could be described as a hodgepodge of confusion, shock, amazement, pride, anger, and disbelief. Okay, he said slowly. So you forgave Yuma by ignoring the system we have in place for fallen angels to earn their forgiveness because you alone decided she deserved it? Yuma's eyes started to water as she got a worried look on her face. She was scared. What was going to happen to him? Would he fall like she did? Were they going to punish him? Would he be warmth once again? She felt warmth. Issei had noticed her panic and took one of her hands in his, squeezing it reassuringly. I did. And I don't regret it in the least, he said confidently, making Yuma tear up even more. Unfortunately, that's not all. Alright, what did you do? Michael sighed. Oh, this is a big one, Yahweh chuckled. He accidentally killed her. The idiot thought he was stronger than the system I created to run the world. You what? Yuma asked, looking at him in confusion, while Michael just shook his head. I don't know if I should be surprised or not, but Issei, why don't you finish the story, though? I think I know where this is heading. Yeah, he answered sheepishly. So, apparently, bypassing God's system is really difficult. None of what I did should have been possible. After I forgave Yuma, I sorta lost control, I guess, and the power I used to forgive her, and the system rejecting it started to tear apart her soul a little bit. My soul, she shivered slightly, lightly grabbing her head in various places as if to make sure nothing was trying to escape. Don't worry, Yuma. You're perfectly alright. I just kinda broke a major rule to make sure that you didn't accidentally die, he admitted. So, I realized you were dying and sorta used my brave saint card to bind your service to me in heaven until one of us should die. Idiot. Michael rubbed his face in annoyance. I'm really sorry. I couldn't live with myself if you died after I promised not to hurt you. If you want to hate me, I understand. I essentially forced you to become my servant, so if you want, I won't ever order you to do anything. Even if I lose my deck because of it, you can do whatever you like and hit me or hate me or do anything you want. I'm really Issei was cut off by giggles from Yuma. She kept giggling until she broke out into laughter. Oh no, I did so much damage to her brain she's broken. What am I going to do? He's an idiot, Yahweh confirmed. Issei, you dummy, she giggled more. How could I possibly hate you? You saved my life. You made my dream come true. I'm an angel again. I've wanted to go back to heaven for as long as I can remember. What is there to be even slightly angry about? What do you mean? I forcefully, for all intents and purposes, enslaved you for all time. That's one of the worst things I could have possibly done. So? I would be dead if you hadn't saved me, Issei. Even if I was enslaved, I owe you everything. Besides, why wouldn't I want to serve you? I get to spend my life helping heaven and the person who did so much more for me than anyone else has ever done. That's the best present I could have ever asked for, she smiled. I guess you could say you enslaved me, but I don't really care. I haven't known you very long, but just from what I've seen, and from what you said, I don't have anything to worry about. For whatever reason, I feel safe when I'm with you. Safer than I've ever felt before. I'll stay with you, Issei, forever, or at least as long as you'll have me by your side. Yuma, he said, eyes wide. Hopefully, she can teach you more about women. You suck at talking to them, Yahweh said. No, I don't. Issei snapped back. So, you're your god? Yuma asked. How exactly are you inside of Issei? I don't mean any disrespect, my lord, I'm just just ignore me. I'm probably just, now, my child. All will be explained in due time. And for all intents and purposes, I'm not God anymore. I'm just the soul of the heavenly crown. That title fell from me long ago. You may call me Yahweh or Father if you wish. Yes, my Lord Father? She said, slightly uncomfortably. I like this one, Issei. You'd better be good to her. Especially if you plan on getting one of those harems you seem to talk about so much. I do not talk about harems all the time. Issei shouted, blushing. You talk about them all the time. You and my parents. I've never given my opinion one way or the other. You do realize that I'm in your soul, right? And you've allowed me to view your mind more than once? That's just no comment. Alright, I think we should move on, Michael interrupted. I'll come up with a suitable punishment for you later, Issei, but for now, let me tell you what I came here for. Right, sorry. Yuma, just so you know, please don't share anything we talk about outside of this room unless explicitly given permission by myself or Issei, who is now, essentially, your direct superior for all matters in relation to heaven. Understood? Yuma nodded quickly, straightening herself up to what she hoped was a more presentable position. Good. Now, under your theory, which is the assumption that Kokabeel is coming to Ko to reignite the war. Hold on a second, Michael. We have Yuma here. We can just confirm everything with her. Will you answer some questions about what your group is doing here, Yuma? Issei asked. Of course. She nodded. Anything I can do to help. Alright, so, you already confirmed that Kokabeel is in charge. The theory I came up with is that Kokabeel stole Excalibur's Rapidly, Nightmare, and Transparency in order to provoke the Heaven faction. He plans to bring them to Ko to assassinate the 2 devil heiresses with the swords in order to reignite the war. Is that all correct? You figured out all of that? How? Yuma asked, bewildered. That's most of it, I just don't understand how you. Detective work is kind of his only real talent, Yahweh shrugged, earning a giggle from Yuma. Jerk, Issei grumbled. Anyway, is there anything else that I missed? And can you confirm my theory? That's almost all they told me. The only other thing I know is that we're supposed to have a sacred gear delivered here soon. I think it was a nun that was excommunicated. I guess Kokabeel arranged for her to be transported to Ko so we could extract her sacred gear to strengthen our forces, she admitted. But I don't really know anything else. Excommunicated nun, he muttered. That's too coincidental to ignore. The Holy Maiden had twilight healing, right, Michael? Yes, she did. And yes, they did excommunicate her. In all likelihood, Kokabeel used a fallen angel to come to her aid in her time of need. In reality, he's just tricking her so he can kill her for her sacred gear. Wait, we have to kill her to take the sacred gear? They just said it was a ritual. Yuma asked in shock. Well, it is a ritual, but the ritual kills the host, Michael explained. So I'm part of a conspiracy to kill even more people. She looked down in further shame. Close, but not quite, Issei said. You were a part of a conspiracy to kill more people. And when you were part of that conspiracy, it was unwilling participation. Besides, you're with me now, so none of that matters, right? How can you say none of that matters? She snapped, surprising him that the timid girl seemed to be gone. I tried to kill you. The only reason I asked you out was so I could kill you and bring your corpse to Kokabeel. Then I would have murdered a nun to steal her sacred gear for myself. Then I would have used it to hurt even more people, to kill even more. Yuma, he said softly, embracing her tightly as she once again started to cry without realizing it. With every decision you make, there are consequences. There are results and changes to everything around you. Choosing to have coffee instead of tea could end up saving the world, theoretically. I'm completely lost, Yahweh admitted. So yes. If you had gone through with killing me, maybe all of that would have happened. Maybe you would have become cold and heartless. But you know what? You didn't. You couldn't. No matter how hard you tried to convince yourself to kill me, you couldn't do it. To me, that means that none of those other things matter. You made the choice to allow me to live, and in turn, I made the choice to forgive you. And I will always make the choice to forgive you, Yuma, he reassured. That part of you who is capable of killing innocents. It's not there. It will never be there. I'll always keep it at bay. You already said you'd stay with me. Something that didn't happen doesn't change that fact, okay? So, don't make such a big deal out of it. You're safe, I'm safe, and you can help us protect all those people that could be in danger, and that's all that matters. Yuma just continued to cry into Issei as he rubbed her back. Is that everything, Michael? Almost. Firstly, you can't go to heaven until we get this whole thing with your deck resolved. I don't really want to explain her return without the forgiveness process also. I was going to tell you that the Holy Maiden will be in Ko at some point this week. I'd like you to keep her safe. Do anything you have to ensure she trusts you and feels safe and welcome with you. I also want you to fully coordinate with the devils here. Between you and their peerages, I'm sure this threat can be averted. I'll contact Azazel again and tell him what we know. In addition, I'm sending you some reinforcements. They'll arrive sometime this upcoming week, Michael explained. What aren't you telling me? Issei asked suspiciously. Well, that's all I have time for. I'll leave you two alone. Looks like you have some work to do, he said, as Yuma whimpered slightly. You're lucky Yuma's more important than whatever it is you're hiding, Issei grumbled. I'll see you later, Issei. Don't forget, you aren't off the hook for anything, so don't expect it to go unpunished. With a wave, Michael left, returning to heaven. Crafty angel, Issei said, mostly to himself. All right, Yuma. Why don't we get some breakfast? Yuma shook her head and hugged him harder as he tried to gently pry her off him. I don't think she wants you to let go just yet, Yahweh chuckled. How am I supposed to get breakfast for us like this? He whined, standing up and carrying her with him. Warm, safe, Yuma thought, burying her face into him again. Issei ahem, she cleared her throat lightly as he started to show signs of waking up. Proverbs 12 verse 11. Whoever works his land will have plenty of bread, but he who follows worthless pursuits lacks sense. Smack. Oh. Hey, Issei. What was that for? Yuma pouted, rubbing her head. Huh? Yuma? He asked, startled as he scrambled to sit up. Why are you in my bed? Why'd you hit me? I didn't wait, my alarm clock was destroyed. Why did you wake me up with a proverb? He asked, bewildered. Father told me that's how you like to be woken up, she told him, shyly. I didn't want to sleep by myself, so I came in here and he told me that you liked being woken up with his proverbs, So he gave me one to read to you. Ha! I told you. You will always wake up to my wisdom. Yahweh cackled evilly. But this is just the beginning. Soon, everyone will wake up to denounce the sin of sloth. Wahaha, why can't there be a mute button for my soul? He grumbled, rubbing his eyes tiredly. Just don't listen to Yahweh, okay? I do not like waking up to his proverbs. It was the worst bet I ever made. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll never do it again, okay? Please forgive me. She begged, holding her hands together. Relax, would you? He sighed, rubbing her head affectionately, as he moved to get up. Yahweh was just pranking me, and you happen to be the easiest way to go about doing it. I have to find a way to bring that confidence of yours up, you know? You don't have to be so worried about disappointing me, you know? Right, I'm sorry. You're so cute. He gushed, hugging her affectionately. Don't apologize so much, okay? You didn't do anything wrong. Okay. She squeaked out. Now, he sighed. You have to go back to your own room. Why? Because I need to get dressed, you need to get dressed, and then we need to eat breakfast so I can go to school. What am I supposed to do? Well, you can stay here and get bombarded with questions from my mom. Yeah, that's not a great idea. Unfortunately, it's our only option. He rubbed his face in annoyance. I love Mom to death, but she can be difficult with these sorts of things. Sorry about what you're about to go through. Wait a second, why can't I go with you? She asked, flailing slightly as he started to carry her to the door. Because you aren't enrolled at the school. If you really want to, I'll talk with Sona about getting you enrolled, but for now you have to stay here. Now go get changed, he told her, rubbing her head and gesturing to her room. Okay, she said sadly, walking to her room. Issei shut the door and sighed for the umpteenth time. She really is adorable, but we have got to work on her self-confidence and dependency issues. Yes. Yes, you do. I have no issues spending most of my time with her, but she has to be able to do things without me, too. It took 10 minutes for me to convince her she had to stay in the guest room until we could find her a more permanent living situation instead of sleeping with me, and she came in while I was asleep anyway. She's just so irritating? I thought you liked her? Yahweh asked suspiciously. Sweet and adorable, he mentally groaned, finishing up putting on his uniform. That's the problem. She's just the sweetest thing. It breaks my heart to see her even a little sad or disappointed, but I can't feel like that just for stepping away long enough to shower. I see. Well, I'm sure you'll think of something. Hold on a minute. You don't have any suggestions for me? You're the worst, he deadpanned, leaving the room to find a smiling Yuma outside of his door. Ready for breakfast? She asked. Sure, let's go, he smiled back. Issei was on his way to school thinking about everything that had happened this past week. He started going to public school, made a few friends, discovered his home is devil territory, uncovered the plan to restart the bloodiest war in history, went on a date with someone who planned to kill him, saved said date who planned to kill him from a terrible fate, and broke several rules of the universe and heaven. Truly, fate had it out for him. Either that or he was in some sort of poorly written anime that has questionable choices for main characters. It was probably just fate. Fate always had been a cruel mistress. I mean, he was expected to go to school and leave Yuma behind? With that terrifying creature known as a curious and protective mother? While she looked at him with those sad eyes and adorable pout that, no! The more you think of it, the more of a hold it has on you, he reminded himself, as he crossed the bridge towards school. His special bridge where he met Yuma for the first time. So, I see the girl failed to kill you, came a male voice from above. I was so distracted thinking about everything that happened, I didn't even notice. Damn it! Issei thought to himself, jumping slightly before putting his guard up. Who are you? I take it you killed Rainier? You must be pretty tough to kill that girl, but you stand no chance against me. She may have more power, but she's inexperienced and foolish, the fallen angel above him said. He wore a trench coat and black fedora that shaded his piercing gaze. I'm sorry to interrupt, but who's Rainier? Issei asked. You must have memory loss, boy. You can't even remember the name of the woman who tried to kill you. He sneered. Though I suppose I shouldn't be surprised. Humans always were lowly creatures. Oh dear, you mean Yuma, don't you? I suppose I would change my name too if I had to work with someone like you, he shook his head. Poor old man, didn't even know the real name of the woman he worked with. What was that? He barked. Listen here, Crow, Issei snapped. You're going to leave. You're going to go back to the Grigori and confess your crimes and accept any punishment they give you. In exchange, I won't rip your wings off and kill you myself. Wrath, Issei. Be careful, Yahweh warned. He hurt Yuma. I don't care, cocky brat, aren't you? Just because you can extract information out of some pathetic whore like Rainier doesn't mean you can do anything about me. Says a lot about her that she failed though, doesn't it? Calawarner had no trouble with her target. He spoke with a mixture of cockiness and pride. What did you do? Issei roared. Did you kill another innocent? In case there was some sort of unexplained variable in your sick plan for war? You really got a lot out of that bitch, didn't you? I don't know who it was, brat, not that it matters. Some pink-haired slut who thinks she's hot shit with a sword. Oh no, Yahweh groaned aloud. You should not have said that. Who was that? he asked, looking around. Show yourself. Your name, Issei spoke with a cold, emotionless tone. Give me the name of the first man I'll kill with my bare hands, cheeky brat. It's the last name you'll ever learn. Donasek. Now, prepare yourself to die. Issei yelled, releasing his 5 shimmering gold wings and unleashing his holy aura. As repentance for your sins and crimes, I sentence you to death by my hands. May Cositus have mercy on your soul. 5 wings? He asked in shock, stumbling in the air. Fuck, I need to get out of here. Heavenly crown, Issei announced, replacing his halo with his holy crown. Alpha lambda upsilon sigma delta epsilon tau omicron upsilon theta epsilon omicron. Chains of God. I can't move. Donasek thought in fear, as he struggled to try and escape. No matter how hard he struggled, he was stuck. Out of thin air, chains made up of the brightest light he'd ever seen wrapped around his whole body, pinning his legs together, and his arms to his sides. What did you do? What sort of holy magic? I asked this. I have judged you, Donasek, for your sins. I have ruled that your sentence is to be carried out. Now, I shall become your executioner, Issei declared in a regal tone, holding out his palm as he approached the frantically struggling Donasek. You can't do this. What on earth are you? Donasek yelled. I am the Lord thy God. Disappear, he said simply, pressing his palm to Donasek's head. The fallen angel began to scream and writhe in pain as holy magic filled his system. His body slowly began to fail, its basic function ceasing until he gave one final twitch, and passed on. The ultimate divine punishment of angels, theta lambda sigmata tau omicron upsilon epsilon caput epsilon lambda epsilon sigma tau, will of the executioner, taught to me by the Lord himself. Good riddance to a forgotten soul. Don't you think that was a bit too far? Yahweh asked as Issei rid himself of his wings and sacred gear. It was a quick death developed by you, to provide satisfaction to the wronged and mercy to the instigator. He was only in pain for a brief period, Issei answered, disregarding the question entirely. I need to get to the school. Don't lose yourself to wrath, child. Not because it's a sin, but because those who fall to wrath rarely come back the same as they once were. Issei ignored him and ran the rest of the way to school, avoiding passers-by without even a glance in their direction. All he cared about was finding out if she was safe. He arrived shortly after, though he was one of the first there. Usually, he got to school about 15 minutes early, which was when most of the students got there. They had time to see friends, enjoy the schoolyard, or do other things they couldn't do during class. Since he sprinted most of the way, he was over 30 minutes early, so he resigned himself to wait. 5 minutes went by and students started to file in at a slow pace. 10 minutes and most of the students were there. 20 minutes and no one else was entering as practically everyone was already there. 30 minutes and the bell rang. But Issei wasn't ready to leave yet. 40 minutes and he knew it was really true. He'd waited too long. He was too afraid of the consequences of acting. As a result, someone died. Because he was too scared, one of his friends died. The first person to talk to him, to be openly friendly to him, died because he was too concerned with politics. How would he tell Murayama? Should he tell her it was his fault? What about her family? The family that lost. Issei. Hey Issei. Came a voice, running through the courtyard. What are you doing out here? Class started. Issei. Issei had immediately sprinted over and wrapped his arms around her tightly. You're alive. What's gotten into you? Put me down. She squeaked, trying to wriggle out of his grasp. Are you hurt? You're okay? You are K-Tace, right? Turn around. No, wait, stay still. I need to make sure you have no stab wounds anywhere. Moving could exacerbate. What are you talking about, Issei? Stop. What are you doing? Pervert. She exclaimed as he tried to inspect her for damage. You don't appear to have any way to second pervert? I'm not a pervert. Then why are you grabbing and inspecting me? Do you have some sort of a lower back fetish? Is that why you tried lifting my shirt? Or were you looking at my butt? I was not. He defended. I'm trying to make sure you don't have any stab wounds. Why would I have stab wounds, Issei? Think with your brain and not the perverted side. And to think, I thought you were better than this. You're a Catholic, I think, act like it. She scolded. Hold on a minute, let me wait a second. He paused, narrowing his eyes and looking closer. Come with me, Issei. I just told you to. She was silenced as he covered her mouth with his hand. I'm gonna need you to trust me and not say anything, okay? Can you do that? She nodded. Good. Follow me. After he took his hand off of her, he led her quietly up to the roof, avoiding anyone in the school. Now will you tell me why you're acting like this? Do I need to tell Muri that you really are a pervert? Dragging an innocent maiden up to the roof to have your way with her? That is not what's happening right now. Issei defended. Sure seems like it, Yahweh said, crunching on what sounded like popcorn. What have I told you about eating in there? You better not get crumbs on my soul. What a strange sentence, God muttered to himself, but was ignored. Okay, deep breath. Issei, he told himself aloud. K-Tace is still alive. That's my question. Why are you alive? Are you saying you'd rather me not be alive? No. No, not at all. Have you met anyone suspicious lately? Have you had strange gaps in your memory? Have you had strange dreams of seeing yourself die? Have you sworn to yourself that something happened only to find out that no one else has any memory of it? Slow down, Issei. Kate sighed. One question at a time. No, I haven't met anyone suspicious and I haven't had any gaps in my memory. I guess I did have a dream that felt real though. Tell me everything that happened, every detail. He insisted. If I tell you, will you tell me why you're acting so whatever this is today? She asked angrily, putting her hands on her hips. Girls don't like being touched, groped, and inspected without their permission, you know. I apologize, but I was worried you were dead or dying, alright? Now, please tell me what the dream was about. Alright, fine. I'm not some helpless damsel in distress, you know, she huffed. Now, let's see. I was coming home from the store when a woman came and asked me for help. She was pretty tall for a woman and had blue hair. Oh, she had massive tits too. I mean, those things were huge. And they were out in the open too. I mean, not all the way, but she wore this red outfit that made them. I know I said every detail, but I do not need you to describe this woman's breasts to me. Could you get to the point? Right, sorry. I got a little carried away, didn't I? So did they, I guess anyway. She asked me if she could help her move something with her car. She said it wasn't particularly heavy, it was just too big to move with one person. Being the wonderful and helpful person I am, I decided to follow her and help her out. She declared proudly, but when we got out of view of the other people, she seemed different. I don't know how to explain it. Then, these massive black wings came out from her back and she turned around and grinned at me. Like an evil smile grin. Like in the movies. Then she said something to me and stabbed me with light that she made appear out of thin air. Did anything else happen? Issei pressed, getting more and more concerned. No, not that I remember. After that I woke up. It was a really real feeling dream, but it was just that. My mom yelled at me for not going to the store, so I had to go out this morning. That's why I was so late, she admitted. I have another question that may seem very inappropriate, so I apologize in advance, he breathed. When you woke up from this dream, were you naked? What? Were you naked? Did you not remember going to sleep or have memories of wearing clothes and then somehow wake up naked? Were you peeping on me? How do you know where I live? She yelled, covering herself with her hands. You really are a pervert. I was just messing with you before, but you HRMMPP. Would you stop wriggling and yelling? Issei said, trying to hold her still. EW. Don't lick me, what are you doing? Let me go, Issei. She backed away slowly. Please, Kate. Listen to me. No. Were you really expecting me to just let you do perverted things to me just because I thought you were cute? Move. I have class to get to, Kate. Just this is important. Please just hear me out. Why should I? Because I care about your safety. He snapped before sighing. Listen, Kate, the world isn't all that it seems. There are things out there you would believe only exist in your nightmares. Things you wouldn't believe could even exist there. For every shred of this place you call reality, made up by our individual knowledge and awareness, there is an endless expanse of what you've never seen. Issei, what are you talking about? She asked, backing away more, her voice shaking. You're scaring me. I'm not human, Kate, and you aren't either, he admitted. That dream you had. It wasn't a dream at all. It was real. Painfully real. Terrifyingly real. I'm sorry I couldn't stop it from happening. I had every opportunity to prevent it, but I didn't. So for that I apologize. For now, if there is any part of you that can still trust me, just keep this quiet just for today. Please, I'll explain everything to you after school and answer any question you could ask that I could possibly answer if you'll just trust me one last time. I don't know what any of that means, Issei, she warned. But you'd better have a damn good excuse for doing these things to me. You don't get to use my trust in you to start touching me under the pretext of caring about my safety. Please, fine. She yelled. Fine, this last time I'll trust you. I expect you to come up with something good. I liked you, Issei. I'm just really upset right now. I have to go to class. With that, she walked off. Wow, you handled that really poorly, Yahweh commented. Don't you think I know that? He snapped. I was scared, okay. The description he gave it was undeniably her. It couldn't have been anyone else. When she didn't show, I was certain. But then, she came. She was alive. I couldn't think about anything other than making sure she was safe. She was my first friend my age since Irina. I couldn't lose her, especially if I could have done something to stop it. I understand, Issei. Fear is a powerful force. Fear that you're going to lose something important to you. Fear that you won't be able to protect someone, and fear that they'll hate you for failing them. As a leader, as a person, as an angel, and as a man, Issei, you will experience fear of all kinds. You will grow stronger because of that fear, but you must face it head on with a clear head and an unwavering conviction. Your conviction, Issei, is your blade. If you keep it sharp and strike strongly and precisely, you can cut through anything, but if you let it dull, it will break, leaving you alone and defenseless. Remember this, Issei, and next time, You won't need to beg to regain the trust you nearly lost. I thank you, Yahweh, thank you, Issei breathed out in relief, as he collapsed to his knees. My, skipping class? Such a naughty underclassman, Akino teased as she poured another cup of tea. Thanks, Akino, he thanked, taking the cup from her and sipping it slowly. So, what can I do for you, Issei? Rias asked from her desk. Over the past week, the two had come close to what you would describe as friends. Issei had spent some time in her clubroom's company, interacting and getting to know them. They still seemed weary, as he was an angel, but they were able to get along amicably. Rias seemed the most willing to accept him as a comrade, while Kiba and Kaneko proved more difficult. I'll ask pretty straightforwardly, I guess. Are you the reason K-Taste is still alive, or is it Sona? He asked. How do you know about that? She asked, narrowing her eyes. It's a bit of a story, so get comfortable, he sighed. Issei told her about his meeting with Yuma and how she decided to come with him, bending the truth to say she just agreed to go with him instead of admitting that he used the power of God to forgive her, and then made her a brave saint, about discovering and confirming Kokobil's plans with the Excaliburs and the danger they were in, and about his fight with Danasik. I know it's asking for a lot, but K-Tace is my friend. The first one I've had in years. I just want to know what happened to her. That's a lot to take in, Rias admitted. Well, to answer your question, yes. I've had my eye on K-Tace for a while now but haven't taken her in. She's well known in the Kendo group and rarely alone, so it's been difficult to get an opportunity to ask her. Kaneko was tailing her the other day when a fallen angel killed her. I resurrected her as my second knight. So, she's in your peerage now? Issei asked. Yes, thank you, he kneeled. Thank you so much for saving her. I owe you more than words can express. That's not necessary. I was happy to rescue her. In fact, Kiba should be bringing her here shortly. Rias waved him off, internally smirking at being owed a favor. But I will keep that in mind for the future. Then, before she gets here, I have 2 more things to say. Issei stood and faced her. Yahweh, on it! More hammers, crashing planks, and buzzsaw noises rang out. Good to go. If you ever do anything to hurt her, Issei started, with a terrifying tone and pace to his speech. Slowly, as he spoke, his wings began to appear, white and feathery as the clouds. This time, he was doing something different though. His wings came out, not all at once, or in pairs but one at a time, slowly, as if cementing in their minds that he was stronger. He was far out of their realm of ability to touch should they try. I will not sit here and let it happen. She may be your servant, but she did not ask for it. It is my fault that you were forced to intervene. Should she be treated well, you have me in your debt. As muscle. As a diplomat. Anything you could request that I could give you is yours. But should you harm her, should you dare to hurt someone under my protection, you will learn why the angels strike fear into the hearts of those who sin. Rias was frozen in fear. What had once been a casual, friendly, peace-loving, mid-tier angel was now a force of nature. 5 pairs. 5 pairs of shimmering white wings, dripping with holy power, lit the room up with a holy glow. His gaze penetrated through where she sat.